What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Fun Speculation Podcast. Mav here, right now by myself. Fuzzy should be on his way. I think he'll be here in a little while. But I want to thank all of you for being in the chat. You guys rock. And thanks always for all the support, either if you're here live or if you are listening on audio. Quick note also on the audio. Because of the last show that we did, which was actually 2 weeks ago, because last week I couldn't just end up doing the show, but the last show we did, which was 2 weeks ago, because there was an issue and YouTube ended up screwing us, and we ended up having to go into two sections. I wasn't able to get the audio up because of that. However, should be back up going after this show this week. So I know it's been a little bit of break on audio, been a couple weeks, but we'll be back up and running on that. But yeah, if you do like the show on audio, hey, remember to leave a review on your favorite platform, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, or what's it called now, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, wherever you listen. If you're here watching live in YouTube, hey, hit the like button, share it out, notification bell, sub to the channel if you're not. Greatly helps people find us, helps us grow. Now that that's out of the way, I want to shout out to some of the people in the chat. Shout out to you, Be Nice. How's it going? Sea Lord of Bravos. How's it going? Says you dig that music. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Shout out to Judzilla in the community. He helped, he made that music. He didn't help make it. He made that music for us using a little ditty that I sent him, and then he turned it into that. So it's absolutely awesome of him to do that for us. And let's see, we got E-Ranks here hanging out. The Metro 2039 has you replaying the Metro series. Forgot how amazing those games were. And I think the whole series was on sale for like $5 for the entire collection. So I don't know if it's still on sale, but right after that trailer had dropped, and that little like introduction into Metro 2039 had dropped, they had the whole series available on Xbox for $5. I didn't end up getting it because I already had all of them, so I didn't need to. I already have them. But if you don't, check it out. Let me know if that sale's still going on. I doubt it is because it's been like a couple weeks or whatever. Let's see. We got Silver Lab guy hanging out. It's finished Lord of Hatred campaign. That was dope. Yes, the Diablo 4 campaign for Lord of Hatred, or the expansion Lord of Hatred, has dropped. I haven't had a chance to dive into that yet. I really want to get into it. I've seen PTK Blam, a friend of mine, posting lots of clips and content on Twitter about Diablo. He's been super sucked in, so it's been awesome to see. Shout out to all of you guys. Oh, Mr. Calorie, what's up, dude? How you doing, Calorie? Says, I think if Xbox messages exclusives right, no matter which avenue they go, Series S could win the GTA 6 race. Perception is huge, and I've seen huge creators and small talking about Xbox is back. Well, I do know that Series S would be the most affordable new console to get if you're still stuck on last gen, or if you're only a PC player. GTA 6 being exclusive to consoles, but also people that haven't upgraded yet. You know, you're looking at how do I play this damn game, because it's going to be a very in-demand game. So which platform do they end up getting? Do they end up getting a PS5 digital, PS5 Pro? Do they end up getting an Xbox Series S? Do they end up getting a Series X? You know, lots of options out there. Some PC players will say, I'm just going to wait, and because they know inevitably it'll hit PC. But I think that game's going to cause massive FOMO. So there will be a surge, just like there was with NCAA 25, but probably at least 2 times stronger, with people needing to get a console to play GTA. So GTA 6 gonna shake up the industry for sure. Yeah, Calorie says, isn't the PS5 digital like $650 now or $550 or something insane? I forget exactly the price, but I remember at one point it was only like $100 more than the Series S, and it was kind of like Series S. It's hard to make a case of exactly for that price difference, but if you're looking at $200 price difference, that's pretty dramatic, you know. So I think a lot of people would be content playing it on there. And also, I'm going to be curious about the performance on all platforms for GTA 6 because that game is going to be a beast, and that will probably play somewhat of a factor into the decisions of some people in which games they buy. And like, if I want to know how optimized it's going to be on the Series S. Like, if it comes out and like, let's say Digital Foundry comes out and be like, hey, this is actually surprisingly good on the Series S. I think that'll be helpful for them. A PS5 digital is $599 now. Damn, yeah, it's crazy. I know it's $900 for a Pro. So what is that for a regular PS5? Is it like $700 for a regular PS5? It's fucking crazy, man. These prices for consoles, this generation is nuts, dude. This and things like that are gonna be part of the decision making and what we're gonna be talking about on this show a little bit because I'm kind of seeing lots of things going on right now with Xbox. Like, they've had their financials come out yesterday. No surprise there again. If it's going to the first quarter year over year on, again, the previous year where they had Call of Duty 6, Black Ops breaking records for that fourth quarter, and that's going to transcend and go into the first. And this first quarter of this year, they didn't really have like a whole lot. Their games are very backloaded this year. So I mean, and plus also just like the way the direction and everything that was going with sentiment on Xbox for this past year, regardless if it was justified or not, it was no surprise. In fact, Xbox actually, I think, and Microsoft had predicted even a bigger decline than they actually had received. But the financials came out yesterday, and again, content and services was down like 5%. Hardware was down 33% year over year, and overall, I think was down like 7. And we talked about this last time the financials came out. The content and services is the big one there. I think the content and services is kind of the one where you look at subscriptions are tied to it, game sales are tied to it, all these other kind of things, and that's where you really want to see the growth at this point in the generation, right? Because you should have established more sales into the ecosystem. You should have more subscribers, all these other kind of things, and things continue to grow that way. Gamers spending money on games, Game Pass subscriptions, all this kind of stuff. But I think that $30 price increase to Game Pass kind of bit them in the ass, coinciding with a Call of Duty that was, to many, not their favorite. So overall, it was kind of to be expected with this financials thing. But, that does lead into where they need to be. And like I said, after the last financials came out, I think the biggest judge is going to be like in the fourth quarter of this year when we look back at that. If content and services aren't up from last year after the release of Call of Duty 7, this year, then I think that's even would be a worse sign. But I do think that this fourth quarter, by then they will be up to positive growth on the content and services side. And we'll see. I don't, once they start getting judged based on later last year compared to later this year, I think we're going to start to see things flip. I don't know about hardware. We'll see where that goes. I think it's going to be up to them and how they start marketing and make them available, pushing things, deals that they may have around Black Friday and all that kind of stuff. But there's potential there for this holiday, and I do think GTA will cause a bump in hardware as well. So fourth quarter this year, you might actually end up having a situation to where they're actually, for the first time in a while, up year over year in hardware. Not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it might be possible. But a lot of things playing in the favor with that in looking forward for Asha Sharma. Like, bright things are on the horizon with all the games that they're releasing this year, the Fable, Halo, Gears. We have Forza Horizon 6 next month, and it's just a couple weeks away, right? And then you're coinciding that with big third party releases, especially the biggest monster, which was just reiterated by Strauss Zelnick of Take Two that, hey, GTA 6 is still scheduled for this fall. So, with all of these things happening this year, as long as they don't do something stupid or horrible, I think this is going to be a rebound year. I think we're coming out maybe of one of the worst stretches as far as Xbox with their financials and stuff goes for this generation as far as like declines. And I think we're going to start to see that rebound big time here in the next few months. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. If later after this fourth quarter things aren't flipped around at that point, when we get to see those financials, then there's more to be concerned about for sure. And you're curious about like what kind of time frame is given about, hey, we need to turn this around. You know what I mean? Like Satya Nadella came out and made more statements regarding their, returning focus to the core, at least in the short term, is kind of what he said. So I think it needs to be always Satya. But he did say that, and they are focusing back on the core to fix the foundational issues for users, and that goes across more than just Xbox. He mentioned Windows as well and things like that. So it's just I think it's a core principle, core mindset that they need to have to always kind of focus on that core user, and that's what he was iterating there. And I think we're going to see the impacts of that. Well, but like how much of a leeway? What's the time frame that they actually allow these kind of moves before they start tightening the restraints a little bit? Before they look at it and say, well, this is the cost is too much. We're not seeing the returns, and with big corporations, that's always something you gotta be considering and mindful of. So, what is the leeway? What is the time frame? Have they been given something internally like, hey, we're giving you a year, we're giving you 18 months, we're giving you 3 years, we're giving you until after next generation launches and 2 years after that, we're giving you five, whatever. Like, what is the time frame before they say we need to be back to a substantial or at least steady growth phase with Xbox before they start to say, all right, we need to start looking at other options here. And it's always going to be something that we need to look at and consider with the decisions that we make as well. Like, however, right now I think things are going to be on the up, and they got decisions to make. They got decisions that are some of the biggest decisions that have ever been made in Xbox's history regarding direction. And the way I see it right now is Xbox is at a kind of like a fork in the road, right? I was talking to Cade, and I was going over thumbnail ideas, and like I was saying, okay, it's like you're on it's like you were almost out of gas and you're sitting on a highway out in the middle of nowhere. You got a decision to make, which way to go, left or right. You got a fork in the road, you got to go one way, but man, that decision is crucial, and you're sitting there pondering the paths ahead. What is going to be the right path? And it's crucial when you have this much on the line. It's not like you're nimble and lean and mean. You're moving a massive amount of business. You're moving multiple studios and people, services, all down a path. And whatever path you choose, will have an effect on every single element that's part of the ecosystem. So those decisions must be immense. The thought that has to go into all of this must be very daunting. And like I really do not envy anybody that is put into the place that has such an impact over so much, has an impact over the employees, has an impact over the gamers, has an impact over Microsoft, has an impact over the shareholders, has an impact over everything. But I do think the right decision is always going to be what's right for the core fans, because I think that is going to be what is most reciprocated throughout the rest of Microsoft and Xbox as far as positive outlook, positive outcomes down the road. That is the long-term solution. But how do you weigh that? How do you weigh those decisions? What's the counters? Because you always got people in your ear. You got money people, you got creatives, you got fans, you got other users on other platforms that want to play the games. You got numerous amounts of ears just saying this is the way it should be. This is the way it should be. This is the way it should be. Former executives going on social media saying this is the way it should be. This is the way it should be. This is the way it should be. The only person here that's going to actually matter what their decision is Asha Sharma. And imagine the pressure that she must have, about making the right decision. Now, that's what she was saying in that last interview on GameFile with Stephen Totillo, is she's not going to make a fast decision. She wants to make the right decision. And she's going to be using data-driven thought process, but also strategic. And I think I've seen a lot of people covering the fact that she said data-driven to make these decisions, because data-driven leads you to assume, hey, that just means obviously more multi-plat, less exclusives, because more is better, right? More sales, more game sales, right? But people are missing the fact that she also said strategic decision. So she's going to be using a data and strategic approach to weighing whether games go exclusive or not. And what does that all mean? That means checks and balances. To me, that means case by case, to be honest with you. That means that maybe they're going to be looking at things and saying, this game is going to drive this many people to the ecosystem. Maybe they look at things like third-party storefronts on PC. What are their relationships with that, and why are they supporting other storefronts? Everything matters. Everything matters there. And man, decisions. Financials down. Gamer sentiment, especially with Xbox, the last couple, last month or two, especially last month, has been in the most positive direction it's been in a long time. It's time to capitalize on that. Time to capitalize. More moves are on the way. Absolutely. What are they? Let's see. C. Lord of Bravo says, as poor as Xbox financials look, I have really enjoyed playing games in the ecosystem. It's a bit of a disconnect. Absolutely. That was my thought process over the last couple of years, is when everybody was saying they needed abandoned ship. I'm like, things are getting better than they ever been. We had more games released, first party games released last year than we have maybe ever. I don't know. There's like 12 first party games released last year across the spectrum of different kinds of titles. You had like Tony Hawk, you had Ninja Gaiden, you had Oblivion remaster, you had things like South of Midnight, you had Avowed, you had Outer Worlds 2, you had Grounded 2. I mean, there's just stuff all over the board, man. There's just crazy amounts of games. They're all in Game Pass day and date too. And everybody that had been abandoning ship, I'm like, you guys are idiots. Why are you leaving now to go play these games you've been saying you've been excited for years and pay more for them somewhere else? Like, it just didn't make any sense, as it was because they were upset that other people were getting to play them as well and had the opportunity to buy them. Well, it's like, your experience didn't change. Now, what I see is a lot of those people that saying they abandoned ship or were leaving coming back. So you sell your Xbox. You last year you go buy games for more money than you were going to get in the first place. All the same games you would have been playing, and now you come back to Xbox, buy the console again, and then you're back to where you were in the first place because you're still getting the same experience. Now, we'll say the biggest difference in the change that's actually made that impacts us is the price drop of Game Pass Ultimate. I think that is a substantial thing that a lot of people look at and be like, okay, well, I was out because of that if you're just in it for Game Pass. But man, a lot of people are just flip flop on what's important to them all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, if you've been championing the games, you've been championing the ecosystem, and you've been loving Xbox for all these generations, you built up this library, then you leave because a couple games, what was it last year? Maybe like, I don't even know how many exactly went multiplat, and now because because in a Xbox wire post, in a mission statement basically, or a manifesto, whatever you want to call it, they say they're reevaluating exclusives, because that's enough for you to dive back in and get the same experience you were going to get to anyway. Like, you just never should have left in the first place. However, exclusives are important to some, and if that's what drives you, that's what motivates you, hey, it's important for the business at that point, right? Because if that's what's important to the gamers, because they've been trained by the corporations to care so much, then that's what they got to do, because PlayStation's doing it, Nintendo's doing it, right? So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they steer this ship. Metrics have come out about the value of the multiplats that they did release. I saw this post where it was like how many sales they had from certain games on other platforms or on PlayStation, leading to like $600 something million in revenue in a year or so. So, we'll look at that, and that's something that Asha Sharma is going to consider. But it's like, again, some games performed way better than others. So how do they value that? And why are some games performing better than others? They got to look at those decision results as well, and try and figure out why. Mr. Callie says, did I see the IGN Xbox podcast title today? Is Xbox back to being green and mean? I've seen a lot of legacy media seeming to be willing to give Asha's Xbox a fresh start. It could be huge. Yeah, and I've seen, like you said earlier, I've seen a lot of like bigger creators. I've seen people that have over 1 million subs. Like the big time YouTube creators and stuff talking about this, and they're like, "Hey, this is exciting." It's messaging, man. Like, it's messaging. Like, this is what I kept going back to a lot of the things we've been saying. One of the most important things, no matter what direction you go, right? No matter what direction you go, no matter what direction you are headed as a company, one of the most important things is how you message that, why it's valuable or important to your gamers, to the people you're trying to market to the people you're trying to drive to your ecosystem. And I think more than anything, just the messaging behind what Xbox was doing was flawed. I don't think it spoke to gamers really, and that's one of the core issues. I think, Asha, with the focus she's putting on with the updates and also the changes she's made, these are things that could have been done either way before, right? But they weren't for whatever reason. And even small things like this as part of messaging, it's like, we're here, we're taking care of our fan base, we are doing these things that have been requested, we are making things more affordable. We're trying to do this. We're trying to do that, And I think that resonates a lot better than, hey, we're just trying to be everywhere we can, which is like the core difference in the messaging over the last few years, right? It was like everything was about we're just trying to be everywhere we can be. We're trying to meet gamers where they are. Is like what the basic sentiment was and what all the marketing and messaging was. But that's not exciting for a user. You have to actually earn that customer, not just be there for them. You can't just be available for a customer and expect them to use it. You got to make them want to use the service. And how do you do that? You don't do it by saying, hey, here it is. Look at all this. It's here for you. You do it by saying why it's awesome, why it's cool, why it's better than. And I think the messaging has been flawed with Xbox for a long time, and marketing behind a lot of the stuff they've been doing. And I think that's part of why she's already had the amount of success that she has. Is because even though small moves have been made, even though it's going to take a while to have anything substantially major done, I think the messaging behind everything has been on point. Even so, to where when the financials came out yesterday, she actually made a statement on like, "Hey, the results don't match our ambition. We have work to do." You know, is it is different. It's different. It's not the same energy that we've been used to in Xbox for a while. I know we've seen Phil publicly take L's like on podcasts and stuff where he's had like scheduled things that have happened like right after big moments in Xbox's history where they've had the biggest rakes. I remember like the kind of funny interview he had right after Redfall released. There was another one he had, I think, right after like I forget, a price increase or something. I can't remember what it was, but there was a couple different times where he's been on scheduled things like interviews and stuff, and then like literally like the day or the week before or something, some massive major thing happens. Xbox gets thrown into a massive negative light, and he's had to like stand up there and he's been like, look, this is not good enough, blah, 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 blah. So you have to give him credit for that. But at those points, sometimes some of the biggest statements came out that were like, what are you saying, bro? Like when he said that, regardless if he's being honest, like, look, like we could have games that are like 10 out of 10s and stuff across the board, but they're still not going to get people to sell their PlayStations and buy an Xbox or something like that. And it's like I get what you're saying, bro. I even if you're being honest, you just don't want to publicly put that energy out there. It's just like it's almost like the energy of we've given up being competitive in the hardware space is that was put out. And then you kind of saw after those things happen kind of the reflection on how they were treating their hardware their hardware. You had price increases on it, you had less updates, and it was kind of moving away from being super aggressive trying to sell consoles. And it was, I think, because behind the scenes they were like, hey, console is just going to be a part, it's not going to be the core. And I think that's where they lost their focus, because I think the core identity of Xbox still needs to be it still needs to be consoles, and then you spread from there. Talos races. Well, I don't even know what you're talking about, so I won't read that one. It says I don't eat pies, pineapple. Yeah. I was gonna read what you said, but then I realized it doesn't have anything to do with gaming. Talking to Calorie. What are you guys talking about? Pie? Where? What kind of pie? What kind of pie do you eat? Let me look. I'm trying to fucking read this chat. Like I'm trying to see what this. Oh, here we go. Talos Ray, hey mate, eat a mince pie for me and some pineapple lumps. One day I'll get down to New Zealand. Okay. Right on. uh, you don't eat pies, pineapple, whatever. Yeah, I'm still confused about this conversation, but that's cool, man. Kelly says, I think some Western consumers have been conditioned to buy based on FOMO status. Xbox needs to lean into FOMO, not just pushing you can wait a bit and get it wherever you are. Rare equals good. Yeah, FOMO is a big thing. You gotta, and that FOMO is like the cool card. I use the term cool card a little bit. Like you gotta be that brand that's like, hey, this is where you want to be. It can't just be for the people that know it's great. It's got to drive the conversation of like, this is where you need to be. This is where you want to be. This is like where everything happens. This is like this is where the action is. This is where the good shit is. This is where the new shit is. This is where you got to be. And that's the energy you got to put out. Like that's the energy they got to sell with. It's marketing. It's like, hey, this you need to be here because of this, right? Not just, hey, look at all the people we can reach. It's different energy. You don't win over people by and gamers to want to invest in you by saying we're trying to be everywhere. You win over people by saying you need to be here, right? You got to lead with the need. you can't you can't just say, "Hey, here we are. Look at us." Like marketing messaging, man. Core issues that have been revolving around Xbox for a long time. And I'll say this again. Man, they got to stop the leaks. I know that we all like leaks because we get to talk about them. We get to say this. We get to see where they're going. We got to say that. But you can never, ever control your marketing or your messaging if shit gets out there for a month before you're ready to say something. You can never do it because what leads is like the doom and gloom of 2024. You get just so much speculation, people coming to conclusions before anything's been announced. So then you end up having to react. You become from less control to reactionary. Well, how are we going to handle this shitstorm now? That's on social media and everybody's talking and already drawing up conclusions. Much like you see right now with the DRM thing going on with PlayStation. If stuff got out there, there's like some people are saying this is a factual thing. Some people are saying this is a factual thing. Some people are saying this is what's happening. And Sony's like trying to scramble, figure out, well, how do we actually tell them what's actually happening without damning us, but also, maybe it's not as big a deal as some people are making it out to be, and that's what they're trying to figure out how to handle. I think that's one of the reasons they haven't said anything because, if they really go, well, they said one thing, but it still was a little bit vague. But if you just go and say exactly what it is, people are still going to run negative shit with it. But like, you got to get ahead of stuff, man. You got to get ahead with messaging. If you lose that, you are never in control of what people think. Instead, you're trying to react to what people think. And you lose the ability for people to willingly think that it's the awesome or right or best thing for us. And that should be the point of the messaging for any moves that they make is like, this is best for the gamers. This is best for us. This is what's going to be awesome for us. This is what we need. This is what we should want. Now, if you have leaks come out, internal memos, or somebody heard that blah 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 is happening, then you have debate. You have unconfirmed sources. You have everybody saying something's going to happen, and then it's like, okay, well, We have to react to the shitstorm that has been caused. Now, Xbox has been guilty of this same situation numerous times. They got to stop the leaks, man. I understand it happens with every publisher, happens with every platform, but none as much as Xbox. And some people say it's controlled. They control leaks. If that's the case, then constantly putting out things that could be considered negative to test reaction is fucking stupid as hell, because you're constantly just forcing negative conversation about the brand. That would be a horrible marketing decision, stupid as fuck. You don't just let reactions happen without actually having anything to say for yourself. Stop the leaks. Whatever it is, if it's controlled, if it's not, stop it. Make a decision, run with it, control it, tell people why it's the best thing, and then let them react and decide, and you can adjust. Decisions, decisions, decisions. Now, Seal de Bravo says, from the very start, I did not like Fable Day and Date on PlayStation. That just feels like Xbox losing its soul a bit. Make it a multi-year timed exclusive if you must. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, what are their decisions going to be? You could look at Halo CE as well. Like, is that the right decision? Personally, I could care less either way. From a business perspective, I agree with you, Sea Lord. Right? It's nothing that's gonna ever make me jump ship from Xbox either way, because, like I said, my experience is the same. But business wise, if I'm looking at the decisions that they need to make, then I agree with you. Long term, it has the best effect probably for the brand, and because that's the way that gamers are, that's the way we think, right? If it's, no matter if it's right or wrong, no matter if we've been trained that way by the corporations or not, there's enough people out there that control the narratives about what's good and bad for us that think exclusives are the end all be all for gaming, and that's what matters, right? I personally don't agree with that, but for business, because that's the mindset, because that brings the cool card, because of our mentality, that's what might be needed, you know? And diluting that can be a problem. Now, there's a counter. There's a counter to that, right? On a smaller ecosystem or console base like Xbox is, how many sales are you losing by not putting something out day and date on another platform, right? Like, let's say Fable does come out on PlayStation and sells like 3 million copies this year. Yeah, I'm just throwing a number out there, right? That's 3 million copies they wouldn't have sold. How much benefit does that have towards Xbox as a platform, and also Xbox um, as a studio, like for Playground? How much benefit does that have for them to maybe invest in a sequel? Now, if you look in, now there's the other balance to that is, okay, well, how many people would we have gotten to buy Xboxes if they didn't have the ability to buy it on PlayStation? I don't know. And I don't think they actually know. And the answer to these questions, it's very hard. And I think it's a cumulative thing. It can't just be like the one title or whatever. It's got to be numerous hits after hits after hits until you gain that this is the place to be. And I think if they continue to do that, then this is the place to be that you need to play here, then it's going to be considered an afterthought from games media and um, those other gamers that only play on PlayStation and stuff. It's like, well, I don't really care. I got all my games over here that I care about, is a kind of mentality. But like, if they have them, if they don't, that it's a decision that Xbox is going to have to set to make, to say, okay, We have those games only here, or we don't. They're available for everybody. Tough decision, man. It's a tough decision. Shane G, shout out to you, says, I just don't see how exclusives and cheap day one games and Game Pass are sustainable. Something has to give. If they go exclusives, we may end up losing day one games or a la carte costing us more. Again, the counter to that is the platform, the hardware, right? I think Xbox, if they're content with being a small place in the hardware space, then multi-platform is the way to go, right? Because if you make things exclusive and you're not going to be selling a shit ton of hardware, and you're on PC, you're mainly relying on Steam and stuff like that, then at that point you're not going to grow in the hardware space, and you're not going to sell as many copies of the games, because if they're, like, if they're content there, then they need to be more multi-plat. If they say we need to grow hardware and platform wise to force people into our stores, then that's where the exclusives come in, right? Because that's just the way the business is. The question is, what's better for Xbox? What's better for us? What's better for us to maintain our libraries, to have more investment into everything? Some people are saying the old way is the only way to go. Some people are saying that the new way is the way to go. Asha Sharma is in a bridge of two worlds right now. She's taken over on a ship that was changing course, and she's got to make a decision, like, do I keep going that way, or how much of it do I steer back? And it's a massive ship, man. There's a counter to everything. When you're this big of a publisher and you have so much at stake underneath you, then every decision matters so much with this. Um, Fable, let's weigh the pros and cons, okay? How many copies do you think Fable will sell on PlayStation? If it when it goes to PlayStation? Like, one, two, three, less than one? I don't
Check
know.
my. You hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up, Fuzz? How's it going, man?
Not too bad. Still up here editing video stuff.
All right
Sorry
on.
for being a little bit late, but got all tidbits ready to go. Well, not ready to go right now, but
Yeah,
already lined up and stuff.
appreciate it, man. Well, thanks for being here, dude. We're
And,
I was just talking to the chat. We're talking about all these decisions that Asha's got to make. Like, we saw the financials and stuff. That they had, and I kind of see it as like a fork in the road kind of situation. And there's pros and cons to both sides. You know, and I wouldn't want to be in her shoes to have to make these decisions. Like she said before, she's making these decisions on a data driven but also strategic driven, uh like, path, the decision making process. And I'm curious how that plays out. Like, I'm trying to think, like, in their shoes, right? How would they handle? Because we all, like, know what the gamers want. The we like, for the core gamers on Xbox, everybody, like, they want, hey, exclusivity, like, just the old way. You know, I've seen so many arguments for taking games day and date off of Game Pass, because it's like, hey, it supports more of the old way, all this other kind of stuff. Whereas on the other hand, you have people kind of like me that's like, doesn't really care about any of that stuff, and it's like, I just want more games and access to them as good as possible. Um, but business wise, you look at it as like, okay, what's best for the brand? Because I think if the brand goes, the brand loses its luster completely. Which, I mean, arguably it was already to that point. Then it's like, at that point, you really don't have anything to sell. You're just selling games. You're not selling an image. You're not selling an identity. You're not selling a brand. And that was the first thing that Asha Sharma tried to fix, right? So, how would you approach it? Okay, like look at Fable. I think it was I forget who said in the chat, um, but somebody was like, think Fable going day and date was a mistake. It should have never been done. Blah 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 blah. So what are what are your pros and cons to that? You know what I mean? Like, because that's the same kind of decision she's going to be having to make going forward.
Yeah.
Strategy and data, and you got to. What's the balance there? You know?
I think if you're going to lean to pushing the console, you're going to have to look at the approach as far as the pricing of the box, how easy it is to get it in customers' hands. So availability, pricing are going to be key. And if you're going to go that route, and this is going to probably sound like a bad idea because of the numbers, don't put Forza Horizon 6 on PlayStation. Make them buy that box. I think that is a game
Yeah.
selling or a system selling
So you think
title.
Forza would be a way bigger mover than something like Fable, right? To draw people
I,
in.
I kind of do only because
I agree with you.
there's enough people that have gotten a taste at this point. So
Yeah.
they go in knowing what Forza Horizon 5 was like, and they see how bombastic 6 is in comparison, a much bigger map, a better scenery, more activities, a more beloved car culture, uh, region. I think that's the one that moves units. Now, is it going to move 5 million Series S's or Series X's? That I have no idea. I think it can move a million or two at least. Also, making sure that you have bundles on games that are, next gen only. So your NCAA, your new Madden, your next Call of Duty. Find a way to get those bundled with the hardware. So if hardware really is going to be a push, stop putting even though the numbers are good, stop putting your moving units on the other platform. Get those other boxes out in the wild. Um, Something like Fable, I would say give it at least a year before bringing it over. Now, some would say since it was one of the original pillars, don't put it over there at all. Um, but I think we've seen how well RPGs can do on various platforms, in particular on PlayStation. Um, it's a good chance that Fable would probably outsell some of their own, action RPGs and stuff. So it might be worth considering, but I would say consider it after 6 months. Now, the drawback when you do that time stuff is that you're marketing it twice. You're now marketing it a second time when maybe some of the hype has died down. Now, if you're going to do that, I would say time it with an expansion or time it with an update or something to that effect. Or just go out and copy Sony's playbook to some extent, what they do with third party. Put it over there, but don't give them certain missions. Like same thing what they did with Hogwarts. Not that it's the biggest deal, but if you have something where it's like it's only available on Xbox, and then in the very, very small print, or something like 12 to 18 months, make people hunt for that info. Maybe that's how you move more units. But if you're just looking for profitability, I think what you do is you look at what you put over there and didn't move as expected, and don't ever do that type of thing again. And maybe draw a line at certain studios where, okay, this is under the Xbox Studios umbrella, or this is under the Bethesda umbrella, or this is under Activision and whatnot. Draw some lines where, okay, even if it means maybe resorting something, like maybe Playground is now part of Activision, or maybe Playground falls under Bethesda for, this type of purpose. But anything that's Xbox Studios never goes over to PlayStation. And if you have to move Double Fine over to another grouping, so do it. But that's how anything that these studios produce will only be able be found on Xbox or where the Xbox app is available, which would be on PC or on some of these handhelds, and that's that. If it's ever to go over somewhere else, it's under the Activision umbrella or Activision Publishing, and that I guess that's some of the workaround. But then I would say if it's a game that's been a multi-plat that may not seem like a system seller, like perfect example, I honestly think something like Wolfenstein could be a system seller, and I think something like Doom could be a system seller, but it's been I wouldn't say watered down so much, but it's been put on those other platforms for so long, and that it it may not have the marketing push behind it to make it seem like that must have game that if you do decide to make those exclusive, you better make sure you have the marketing right, show all the best visuals, make it like mouth watering and tempting for anybody that doesn't have a series console or the Helix console on their wish list or in their household right now. Go out and get one, or at least put that Xbox app on their PC. But it seems like the way Ash is approaching it, I think there will be a look at some of the games. So something like I take it from the word she's saying, something like Forza Horizon 6 will go over. Something like another game from Obsidian probably won't go over. So if we get, Avowed 2, that stays an exclusive.
Right.
When we get, something like maybe Grounded 3 or whatever, maybe that becomes a multi-plat. But I
I'm gonna
think they're
throw one
gonna
at
look
you.
at how Mhm.
Elder Scrolls 6.
If it were me
I the reason like the reason I'm bringing that up because I think it's like inevitable for after the big release slate that we have this year of games coming out, whenever they
Mhm.
show Elder Scrolls 6 again, right? And they actually do a big reveal. That will be a massive conversation.
Yeah,
Like exclusive or not exclusive, and it already has been in the past, but that's the perfect game that if you are trying to actually really drive up hardware sales, right? That's the perfect game to make, Xbox ecosystem exclusive, right?
yeah,
On the other hand, the same thing. Man, there's a lot of PlayStation guys that aren't going to switch that would have bought that game, right?
yeah,
So it's almost like that game alone kind of sits at the core element of this entire discussion, you know, because it's not multiplayer, so it's easy to, but there's not games that come along as often as a monster, like an Elder Scrolls 6 where it's the follow up to one of the best-selling games of all time, you know. So it's not GTA 6, but
no,
if there is anything that is close to that and somewhat level, it would be Elder Scrolls 6, right?
yeah.
How do you handle that one, Fuzz?
That is such a tough one. Like, I think not knowing what the metrics are behind the scenes, I'm probably gonna get hate for this one. I think that's one, especially if it's timed with the Helix, or whatever the next gen console is called. Um, if that's gonna be a launch title, it's exclusive. You can I mean, if you have a series console, you're safe. You can still because 'cause it'll be cross-gen. You'll still be able to play it on your Series X or S. Want to play it on next gen, you gotta buy a Helix. There is no even if a P well, depending on, like, if what King says comes true and there's no PS6, it won't matter, but if there is a PS6 for all intents and purposes, yeah, there will be no port to that. The only next gen availability is on Helix. As far as the PS5 is concerned, they don't get it day and date. When that game launches, you start doing bundles for Series S and X. You drop the price, or if you can't drop the price because it's too much margin you're giving up, bundle that game with keeping the price exactly the same, or bundle the Ultimate Edition in with that system. So the $100 or $100+ one goes with the $400, Series S, or the $500 Series X kind of deal. And you don't tell PlayStation when it's ported over. It's like this will remain a console exclusive with Xbox for an undetermined amount of time. And when PlayStation started doing that undeterminate amount of time, like after I think it was after the initial release on the Final Fantasy 7, bump it out to 24 months plus. Then you're going to have to deal with the Ryan McCaffertys and other gaming media journalists that are going to be like, well, when's it coming to PlayStation?
Mhm.
At this time, it isn't coming to PlayStation. It's only on the Xbox ecosystem. If you want to play it, either not rebuild, but build up your PC to be able to meet the minimum specs, or pick up one of these consoles that we have the game bundled with, or have at a discount, or whatever you're doing to help move those units. Because I think the thing that they've done in the more recent past is that they relied on bundling Game Pass, which is great. Don't get me wrong. There's a great value in getting that 3 month to 6 month, bundled card in with the system because you're getting access to multiple games. But I think there's enough people that are on the fence of buying a console or upgrading to next gen that are still in their PS4 or their Xbox One. Don't want that. They want the old way of, I buy a system with a game, so that way I don't have to go and buy that game as well. They're not trained on how Game Pass works. I mean, there's still a lot of people, as silly as it sounds to us, veterans of Game Pass and stuff. There's still a good number of people that don't understand value or how it works, or why it's worth even looking into. So I say bundle some, Elder Scrolls 6 with the series consoles. Um, it's for next gen, it's only on Helix. If there's a PS6, sorry for you. We're not doing the upgrade for you. And if it comes to PS5, make it like 18 months out, or at least 12 months out, but I would say 18 plus months out from whenever it releases on Xbox. And maybe Bethesda is the one that's multiplat, but timed. Their time stuff is 12 months plus.
Mhm.
Activision is the only one that's day and date multiplat. Unless something like Elsewhere, that being a new studio, new IP, Xbox gets at least 12 months advance. So any new IP that Activision does, or any new IP that Blizzard does, other than, for PC stuff, Xbox gets a minimum 12-month grace period. You can only play it there for that first year. You want to play it on your PlayStation? Well, sit tight for 12 months to a year, or 12 months to 2 years kind of thing, and you'll be able to play it. Call of Duty's multiplat, obviously. I mean, at least for the 10 years that you agreed to on that contract. But I think that's the way going forward. Bethesda's the timed exclusive. Um, Xbox first party, as far as Xbox Studio stuff, uh, always exclusive, as far as from a console standpoint.
Yeah.
And then, Activision, Bethesda, or Activision and Blizzard, they can be day and date multi-plat with the exception of new IP.
Right.
I think that's a solid way moving forward, because now you're really driving home that, oh, Activision comes out with a new IP every 3 or 4 years. I might as well get this Xbox so I can have it the minute it comes out. Same thing with Bethesda. You've been a long time Bethesda fan. You probably played, the first half of Bethesda's titles on Xbox originally, and you switch teams at some point. Now it's time to switch back, because that way you don't have to wait. But if you're willing to wait, hey, you can play it on your PlayStation or your Switch. Um, and hold that approach until either one of those other parties starts getting a little more friendly with time exclusives or money hats that they do. If a certain blue team starts backing off on money hats, and you back off on money hats a bit, or you back off on non-COD related special um, DLC and things like that. Because I think they only agreed that they won't do that for COD. Who's to say you can't do that for Doom or Wolfenstein or any other title you make? Like, hey, you're playing on a Windows PC or an Xbox. Hey, you get these perks, or you get this special mission that will help you boost your characters faster, or whatever the case may be, kind of thing. And I think that's another way that they eventually wean people off of PlayStation. I mean, it's going to be awfully hard to do that
Yeah.
consistently, but I think you have that strong nose approach that you're not budging. You answer the gaming media like tough titty. You want to play it now? There's an Xbox for you,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I know they're going to catch some flack on it, but I
Yeah,
think
I don't
long
think it
term,
matters as much to get that flack from the games media these days as it used to. It matters more
yeah,
to get the flack from the gamers on socials and the big content creators and stuff. You know what I mean? And it's
yeah,
almost like the big content creators like in the media are on two opposite ends of the spectrum here. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. The big
mm,
content creators usually have all the platforms, so it's not too hard for them to switch teams, kind of thing. Like
yeah,
it
or
may
they
be
just
rah
play on
rah
PC.
PlayStation
Yeah,
today, but
right.
but I think that hard nose approach would, I guess the best way to put it, it earns them that quote unquote street cred or that respect from the gamers. And if they have that, they have the dollars, they have the
Yeah,
hardware sales at that point. Gaming media will have to bend the knee because it's like, does the gaming media want to go against the grain when people are like, yeah, I'm going to buy that Xbox because I can at least play the game today as opposed to a year or whenever or 2 years from now, kind of thing. And I think the gaming media would have to, tuck their tail and kind of suck it up from there.
yeah. Man, I wouldn't want to be the decision maker here. It's just absolutely crazy. Um, Cybergunner says make game Xbox games on PS moving forward only 6 months after it comes to Xbox first. Xbox can keep it a year or more. Then PS can have the game for 6 months only. Like just like give them a limited time release. That's like something I could see Nintendo doing one day. Like because like they do that on Nintendo's platforms themselves. So like here's Mario. This is only available to buy for 3 months because I remember they did that with like a Mario remake collection or something like that. It's like it's
Yeah.
available or maybe it's Zelda. So this is like available only for 3 months or some shit. They're like Disney vaulted. Like Disney does the Disney Vault shit, or they used to. Um,
Dude.
Shout out to Alvin, hit us with a super generous $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Alvin. Says Elder Scrolls getting 500K PlayStation guys to get an Xbox is more money and better long term than selling 4 million copies on PlayStation. Yeah, that's the trade-offs, man. That example right there, right, perfectly, Alvin. The way you described it is the trade-off of them measuring, right? Okay, long term versus short term, right? Like the best long term approach is to just make everything completely exclusive and force everybody into your ecosystem little bit by little bit, and just keep at it. However, there's no 100% proof that that's going to work. And how do you manage all the cost of making all those things if you're not getting the sales where you need to be in the short term? You know what I mean? So it's like long term versus short term. That's another way you can look at it too. Like I mean, because the studios they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars making these games.
Yeah.
Like, how much is the budget going to be on something like Elder Scrolls 6? How much was the budget for Fable? I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars here, right? And when you have that, okay, well, do we release it somewhere where there's only this amount of people that are going to be interested in buying it, or do we release it somewhere where there's, you know, 100 million out there? It's like tough decision. Now, long term, you could say, well, building up your platform is the most important thing. So hard decisions, man. Thanks for the super chat, Alvin. Like, I do think that game though is like the perfect question mark, right, of how to handle it. Because Forza, I mean, even like I would say a Forza Horizon 6 would be a bigger mover than something like Fable, right? Because I think it's going to be successful no matter where it is. It's already going to be successful on Xbox and on PC. Obviously they're going to get a lot of sales on PlayStation when they release it there later. But they are doing that. They're just doing it a timed exclusive for a few months, at least. So it's not going to. I mean, obviously because people know it's going over there, they're not going to. Hey, they're not going to switch ecosystems completely just because of a few months of a delayed release, right? But I would say that all in all, the thing that made Xbox special in the past was a lot of these like multiplayer gaming brands like Halo, Gears, Forza Motorsport as well. Um, and those were big draws. And the only place you could get those experiences was Xbox. The heyday of Xbox Live. That's kind of what cemented the 360 generation and things like that. So it's like if you make those things, that was always the best thing about the identity kind of in the core of Xbox multiplat, then that's also like, then if you all you have left is the single player games for exclusives, it's going to be a rare occasion where we have one of those single player games that's a big enough thing to maybe make that substantial of a difference. you know Elder Scrolls 6 is one of the only ones I can really think of that's big enough that they have control of, that's going to make that substantial of a difference there. Um, I mean, they can consider Halo a single player brand, but I mean, reality, it's also multiplayer big time. So, like, I don't know, man. I don't have the answers. I don't think there is in this situation actually just like one right answer, you know? Because what happens if they go full exclusive? Let's just all think about this for a second. Like, let's say that the the loudest people have been arguing against multiplat win out, right? And let's say they go full exclusive on everything going forward, and it's just Xbox PC store and Xbox hardware, right? And all the game releases, besides Call of Duty, which they already are contractually obligated to not do that. But let's say that they do that. What happens if all this, all like the financials are just so bad because of that decision that they start shutting down studios left and right, right? Because if you have multi-$100 million of budgets, maybe the ecosystem right now is not big enough to support that, and they end up not being able to sustain themselves, right? So what happens in that regard? How will all the people championing for exclusivity feel if all these studios end up getting shut down or sold off or something, right? On the other hand, what if they go completely 100% full multiplat? Everything is released everywhere, 100% day and date, which even today they still haven't done that. With all the doom and gloom over the last 2 years, they still haven't done that. So what if, on this hand, we have that for a couple years of just going to a completely multi-plat and all that kind of stuff, and then nobody cares to buy new hardware from Xbox going forward, right? At that point, Or what do they just completely become just a publisher only and get out of the hardware space? Those are two extreme opposite ends of the spectrum, but that's kind of the worst case in both scenarios, right? Whatever Asha Sharma does, she needs to make sure either one of these results does not happen. Neither one of these things can happen. That is the worst case scenario with both directions. Avoid that either one at all cost. So where does that leave you? Somewhere in the middle, probably, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the reality of what's going to happen. I think it is going to be a case by case basis situation. I think that's what she was speaking to when she said that data and strategy driven approach. Which titles do they decide to make exclusive? Which ones will they won't? This is pretty much what Phil Spencer said before when he said case by case. But nobody
Yeah.
is happy with that because we want clear answers. Like everybody, remember everybody was saying, we need to know what games before they're even announced or whatever. We need to know what kind of games always are going to be multi-platter exclusives. Like, it's like people, they can't give you these, like they can't tell you that, like they don't even know, you know. So what she's saying is case by case, but in a better way,
Yeah.
and that's just the
It's all about
I think that's what the
communication.
reality. Yeah, communication, messaging, man. Shane says no one cared when Xbox had exclusives. No one cares when they don't. Cater to your $40 to $50 million base with a phenomenal Xbox console experience and sell everyone else $70 games. Like I mean, yeah, I think like the messaging behind it all is important. Like 100% of messaging. Cybergunner says Halo 7 exclusive only to Xbox, in my opinion, among other games that made the Xbox console relevant. Calorie says, yeah, but it hasn't been case by case. Everything has gone over. Yeah, I would say more so case by case based on like timing. If they wanted to delay Forza Horizon 6 to have been a day and date across, they could have. Um, I don't think that would have been the right decision, you know. Gear now also, guys, this has been ongoing for a while. Gears has not technically been announced for PlayStation yet. That's another one they could have potentially had already announced. You know, they already announced Halo. They didn't announce Gears, and the Halo's a remake, right? It's not every single one, and it's not every single one day and date either yet. Um, some of them have been taking 6 months, some of them longer to come out to other platforms. Some of them still haven't gone over. It's not like every single game that released this generation has been ported to PlayStation. You know, they haven't done a lot. There's a lot of ones they could have ported over that they haven't as well from this release there. So I would say it's not 100%. It is a large majority of the games that have released last year. Um, but it's still not 100%. And I think they were. Do you think this was like a test last year, Fuzzy, as well? Like with these numbers, or do you think that was just like 100% where they were going? Like because it started with the 4, and then
Mhm.
hey, this is what we're doing now. Like Asha says, oh, the plan is still not the plan till it's not the plan. So what was that a test case last year?
I think it's always been a test case, and each time they've had one kind of breakthrough. First one was Sea of Thieves. Now they probably thought, in all of the pre-test and pre-diagnose, groups or whatever, they probably thought that Hi-Fi Rush was going to be a huge hit. Now I think it would have probably done better on Switch, but they were probably banking on that one because that would have probably saved Tango from closure. It didn't, so they wound up closing or eventually selling them off. But Sea of Thieves, I think, kind of surprised them. I don't think they knew how well it would do. I guess they figured, oh, it'll probably be a half a mil or whatever, and I think it wound up doing like 2 or 3 mil. Um, so that probably caught them off guard. So they were like, "Hey, wait a minute. Well, if they like Sea of Thieves, maybe they'll like something like Forza Horizon." So they go ahead and test that along with a couple of other ones as well. And I don't think any of the other ones did as well as they had hoped, but Forza Horizon 5 did spectacular. Probably exceeded what they expected. So they did it again, and then that's when Gears of War Reloaded, which it's hard to tell. Like it did 700,000. That's nothing to sneeze at, but that's I looking at what Sea of Thieves did and what Forza Horizon 5 did. I think it's under their expectations or what they were hoping for. I don't, and the reason why I say that, I think that's a big part of why E Day is not announced. Like I think there was some pushback, like, hey, if if they grab onto Reloaded, then E Day is definitely going over. They don't, or if it doesn't hit probably their internal number was 2 mil. We'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if it hits that internal number, then yeah, it's going. E Day will go over. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But since it didn't crack a mill, they're probably like, let's pump the brakes a bit because we're getting pushback from some of the community, and this is corresponding with hardware sales down and a few other things. So let's hold off. So I think each time they pick like a group of them, and we're like, hey, if it meets this number, we'll keep going. And Avowed, I don't think did as well. Was it South of Midnight didn't do as
Yeah,
well?
I have the numbers here. So I'm just gonna roll through them real quick, Fuzz, so we can kind of have a little bit of um, insight right into specifics. So Forza Horizon 5 did gangbusters, 5.8 million, right? No surprise there. Like in Forza Horizon 6, when it releases, will be absolutely a monster on PlayStation as well. Um, Sea of Thieves did 2.7, like you said, it was like the first one to like take off. Like 2.7 million new Sea of Thieves players is kind of substantial. Also, kind of helps the longevity of a game like that. That is relying on content and ongoing. Like kind of like live service game. Oblivion remastered sold 1.2 million. That's for a remaster. I don't know what it sold on Xbox or sold on PC, but I remember it was like massive on PC when it launched. So I can imagine the Xbox numbers were also very substantial. As well, it was probably a monster Game Pass game as well. Grounded. Now, Grounded didn't crack a million, but for a little game like Grounded, it's 770K. Um, is that substantial? But that's not really a platform seller anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody would say like you got to make Grounded exclusive, guys. Like, people are gonna sell their PlayStations and go play Grounded on Xbox. Like no disrespect to Grounded, it's a great game, but 770,000 players there, I think is pretty good for a game like that. You know, Gears of War Reloaded. Now this one came out second half of last year, I think in the fall, I believe, or was it summer? I can't remember. 684K is what the number says. Um, do you think that's worth it to put
I mean, it's
Gears
it's def-
on PlayStation?
it's a decent number, but I'm pretty sure considering how large of an IP it is, even though yes, it was a remaster, let's say. Um, they probably had an internal number that was north of a mil. I would guess they were probably thinking 2 mil because and if I'm not mistaken, it didn't have multiplayer, which I think that may have been the reason why the number wasn't bigger. But them not announcing E-Day just feels like somebody made an internal bet. Hey, if this doesn't reach this number, then this needs to stay where it's at, kind of thing. And I wish I had fly on the wall info like that, but it just feels like it's weird that they haven't announced that. You take your
Mm-hmm.
bigger game, well, not bigger game, but your other big game, Forza Horizon 6, and you already announced that that's coming, sometime in the fall, and then you already announced that Fable's day and date, but you didn't mention E-Day, and it's like
Yeah.
it feels like that was one that they're looking at the metrics and they're like not completely satisfied. So but we'll see in June. I have a gut feeling in June we'll either know or not know. I think we'll know if it's coming to PlayStation. Like if they just say, playable on Xbox August, whatever date they decide to release it, and that's all they mention is Xbox and PC. And I
Mm-hmm.
think we have at least our 1 year answer on if that's enough or if it's worth it.
Right. Like it's interesting here because like Gears is a massive Xbox brand. It did have multiplayer, but it's a very toned down multiplayer component compared to like what we've been used to getting with Gears games for several years now. It was kind of like, hey, this Gears One multiplayer, but like it didn't even feel. And my memory may be wrong, but it didn't even feel as substantial as the first Gears multiplayer. However, it was still fun, but it wasn't something that was going to draw tons of people in like back in the day. But overall, just the Gears brand is massive for Xbox. But like Alvin said in the chat, they had an aggressive ad campaign targeting like PlayStation as well. And for them to not crack a mill for such a big brand, it's like, is it what is the reason? Because like Oblivion Remastered sold about twice as much as Gears Reloaded on PlayStation. And those are from both the same era, 360 PS3 era games, right? Oblivion was originally exclusive to Xbox before it went over to PlayStation. Gears was always has been an exclusive to Xbox, but the PlayStation gamers were more interested in Oblivion than they were Gears, right? Despite Xbox's efforts to draw more people in or interest from it. So it is interesting that Gears Reloaded didn't crack a mill yet.
Yeah.
So what is the value of having it over there if it's not drawing the amount of interest that you want for that gamers, because that's a very big brand identity game. So it's something for them to think about for sure. Shout out to Brett Bingham with $5 with the super chat. Appreciate you. It says yesterday's price is not today's price. Yesterday's was $70. Today's is 70 and an Xbox Series console. That should be Asha's message to ponies. Wow. Or how about Game Pass thrown in there as well as an option? Game Pass and a console. Because I've seen a lot of people advocating for day and date to be removed completely from Xbox, and as saw I don't know who it was. This guy blew up on Twitter today because he says like according to the sources that Xbox is considering removing all day and date games, or considering not forcing all their developers to put their games in Game Pass, and they would be weighing that on a case by case basis for day and date. But he had no sources or anything to back it up. It blew up on Twitter. It was just kind of like one of those like, "Hey, trust me, bro" things. Um, so it was interesting to see, but those rumors are going to start swirling. That's going to be the next thing. After the
Yeah.
exclusivity thing, it's going to be targeting Game Pass. About like And again, this flies in the face of pro-consumerism. This is all anti-consumerism. Let's just all advocate for us to get less options and pay more. Hey, 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 hey. However, that's what the gamers want apparently. So that's where we're at. But yeah,
And
Brett, that should be the message to them, I guess. You right?
yeah, I mean that message definitely would be a better approach, kind of like this is how we share games, kind of
Mm-hmm.
energy. But I think ever since they pulled COD out, I think a lot of people are going to use that as an example. Well, if they did that with COD, why wouldn't they do that with Elder Scrolls? Or why wouldn't they do that with this? Or why wouldn't they? I think the short term answer is since Forza Horizon 6, which is probably going to be one of their biggest games outside of COD until, let's say, E Day, but I'm probably going to get flack from Crispy and a few other people. I think Forza Horizon 6 does better than E Day. Um,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't think,
yeah. I think so too.
yeah,
To be honest.
I don't think that, there's a concern or should be a concern for, their big upcoming titles not being day and date outside of COD. Like that's, we'll see whenever there's a Diablo 5, which probably won't be for another 5 or 6 years. Um, but yeah, I think COD is like that one-off case. And I've grown to accept it because the discount difference on Ultimate winds up leaving you enough to buy it outright,
Yeah.
which I mainly play the campaigns anyway. So, and I didn't realize how many CODs I've bought over the years, although most of them were for the boys. It's like I'm only missing Vanguard and the Extreme Future one, and then there's like ones that I bought on PlayStation back when I was on PlayStation, and then there's the ones on PC. Although I think I only bought COD 1 and 2 on PC, and then the next would have been on PlayStation. All the ones after that would have been PlayStation up until I guess it was Ghosts or something like that. I think in 2011 or 12 or whatever. But yeah, I don't think they're going to remove day and date. Will they have a tier that doesn't have day and date? Sure. Will they have a tier that has day and date? Sure. Will that tier eventually go back up? I would say probably in the next couple of years. But that's a couple of years from now. I'm not going to worry about
Yeah.
that now. I got my subscription all the way through July of 28, so not for me to worry about right now. But yeah, I,
Yeah.
I still think the bundles with the actual game will probably move them more hardware. And I guess the messaging really needs to I don't know if you can make it simpler, but I guess it needs to be somewhat simpler for the average gamer that's not aware of it. Although they're going to have to figure out something with them trying to get more subscriptions. Like the lowering price will probably bring people back, but if you want to grow above and beyond that, start showing how crazy it is to have access to 31 different games, 28 of them being brand new to you and to the system that you can play through a subscription service for less than $1 a game that's new. Plus, oh yeah, by the way, there's 380 plus more games or probably 400 plus more games in that service as well that you can, you know, take your time with. So they got to figure out a way, even if it just means showing somebody buried with games or something like that. Hey, you just bought an Xbox. We see you bought a couple of games with that, but how about Game Pass? What's that? And then just show them how you can like dump 400 games on their head. Maybe that'll get the point across. I don't know. Something.
Yeah. Man, it's like decisions, 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 guys. It's crazy. Doom: The Dark Ages, only 567,000 on PlayStation. Now, I think that performance of how Doom: The Dark Ages did sales wise in general just surprised me. Period. Like it and now this one was a big deal when it was announced that it wasn't going to be exclusive. However, like Doom has always not been really exclusive anyway, so I didn't think that was a big deal that everybody was making it out to be at the time, because it was like, well, Doom Eternal was everywhere. Doom 2016 was everywhere. Like Doom the Dark Ages, after how much people loved Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, I thought it looked great. I think it's a great game. Like I thought it was going to transcend into another level comparatively to the last other couple Doom games, but they didn't. I mean, they barely got over 500,000 on PlayStation. I don't know what the sales were on Xbox, but I don't think they were that great. Like, what would be considered? And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but like, I don't know. Are my expectations for like a Doom game higher than what they are, like actually internally? Like, because I always thought, I mean, Doom's a big brand, you know. Like I was thinking like millions of copies sold. Not, I'm not necessarily thinking 20 million, but I was thinking maybe somewhere between 5 and 10.
I
Um,
think it's over the years since 2016, it's slowly been down from 2016, I think was closer to 10 mil. And then I think I can't even remember the name of it now. The one before or the one right after 2016. Um with a E. What the heck was it? Anyway, that one I think was like 5 or 6 mil. And then I guess I don't know if it's like Doom fatigue or something, but this one, although it appeared cooler with the more of the the shield and the weaponry and stuff like that, and the flying dragon, I, I think they were hoping for a couple million. I wouldn't be surprised if they reached that. It's just that
yeah.
probably more so on PC. Like I would say if they sold 2 or 3 mil, I guarantee almost a million of them or more were probably on PC just because of the
Yeah.
history of Doom on PC. And
Huh.
then Xbox is probably, I would say, if not an equal number, maybe just a bit slightly higher than what PlayStation sold, just for the fact that shooters, if you're going to talk about attachment rate, shooters always do better on Xbox. I know people are going to clip me and say that he's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Anytime you could be within 100,000 units sold on something like Arc Raiders, and you're comparing, let's say, generously, 50 million series consoles versus 90 plus million, PS5s, and you're 100,000, units difference. What does that tell you about the likelihood of a shooter selling on Xbox? You're more likely to find somebody that has an Xbox buying a shooter than you will find a PlayStation player buying a shooter. Sure, they'll buy all of the traditional shooters like Apex Legend. Well, you don't buy it, it's free, but they'll buy, Call of Duty. Apparently they didn't buy Marathon, but that's a whole nother story. But it just shooters seem to do better. And I know it ties into that stereotype, the shooter box and all that stuff, but if you got half the amount of people with the consoles out there in the wild and you're selling similar numbers, then I would say shooters do better generally speaking, even though the numbers may not actually match up. But if more than half the people are buying it on Xbox, um, and you got similar numbers within a couple 100,000 between PlayStation and Xbox, and PlayStation has double the consoles out there, yeah, I shooters do better on Xbox, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
I mean, like I think the reason I'm focusing on Doom too is because like it's kind of like an example of like Xbox in general for some, like they bought ZeniMax, Bethesda, right? And part of that was and Doom is one of the big brands that they got. I looked it up. Like Doom Eternal, um, had sold. I just lost it. Over 3 million in its opening month, which was more than triple the launch sales of 2016 Doom.
Mm.
Uh, the game's estimated to sold over 6.5 million units on Steam alone. Um, This launch success of the game broke the franchise record for opening weekend sales and was considered a massive success, partly because of COVID. But over 3 million digital copies were sold in the first month. Um, let's see. All right, let's see. Yeah. Also, if we go to Doom: The Dark Ages, which is also very well received,
Mhm.
800,000 copies within its initial release window, despite Bethesda announcing 3 million total players, right? With the vast majority playing via Game Pass.
Yeah.
The sales were lower than expected for the franchise, with an estimated 400,000 copies sold on Steam and 200,000 each on Xbox and PlayStation 5. It's crazy. Leonard Hanera, yo, welcome to the speculators. Shoot you, motherfuckers. Appreciate you, Leonard. You rock, bro. As well as gifted 5 fun speculation memberships there to the community. I super appreciate that. And shout out to everybody that got one of those. Yo, Leonard Herrera, you rock. Appreciate the support. Thanks for the gifteds, man. Let's see. Also, we had Razor Ultron member for 13 months. Said few games alone sell systems. It takes a library. Yeah, it's like it can't just be like that one game. You know, you can have a unicorn, you know, like a GTA 6 or something that's going to move a lot of copies. You know, I said Elder Scrolls 6 would be one of those games, right? But other than that, it's going to take a massive, like, years, like, repeating that, you know, year after year. But, like, I thought that was something, like, we can't even make that argument, like, okay, if Doom, remember everybody was going with the whole exclusivity thing with Doom? Like, it's hard to make that argument now because only fucking like 567,000 people bought it on PlayStation. You know, and that was available there. And like what like why? I understand COVID had an impact on stuff, but like that should have grown the brand of Doom even more if it sold so well during that time. And you would think that it would have been somewhere in the middle. Yeah, maybe Game Pass had something to do with it, but not on Steam. Those people ain't gonna like they ain't going to go just subscribe to Game Pass just for fucking Doom on PC. You know, like it's just weird. Is it messaging? Is it marketing?
I think I might have an idea of what it might be, but I want to double check first. Let's take a look at Metacritic and see if some of the shenanigans, because I do remember a couple of outlets, even though yes, it's a Bethesda title, they're giving it the Xbox tax. But let me
I mean,
just
I
make
think it
sure.
like scored in the at least in the 80s still.
Yeah, it was an 83.
It's like every good Xbox game, really good Xbox game gets like a fucking 83. Is like I think Forza will probably get higher, but besides that, it's like they these fuckers can't cumulatively go beyond that. It's like 80, like I think didn't like Starfield originally around launch window have like a 83. Um
I think it was in the 90s until the 7 from IGN and a couple other places that
or
were
the
like,
4
"Oh,
that
it's
they got from the
uninspired."
yeah. Let's see. I'm looking up its sentiment on Steam as well. I'm going to see what it's like. Very positive on Steam. It's very positive.
It's places like was it Dexerto or whatever?
Yeah. There were 60, I think. Or was it 70 on Steam?
Mhm.
Probably was, right?
Yeah. Uh,
It's just crazy looking at these numbers, man. And some people are like, you can look at these numbers one of two ways. You can look at them as like, hey, accumulatively, hey, the Xbox made this much money from putting these games on PlayStation. But you could also
mhm.
argue like individually, what's the value of if they had been exclusive, right? Accumulatively, how many Xboxes would it have moved? It's hard to It's hard to weigh, but I think these games, most of them sold on PlayStation, even the ones that should have been like considered to be somewhat multi-plat franchises to begin with, not selling as well as they as expected, and I don't know why. Next, Indiana Jones 537,000 on PlayStation. That game fucking rocks, man. Now it did come out later,
Yeah.
so I can say partly the timed exclusivity aspect of that may have had an impact, you know.
Mhm.
But Indiana Jones is a fucking that's a top tier fucking game, right? Anybody that's played a substantial amount of the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle cannot tell me that that's not a top tier quality game. So I don't know why it didn't sell, besides the potential timed exclusivity thing, more, but it didn't.
Yeah, but even with the timed exclusivity, I mean, look at something like Forza Horizon 5 that it took 4 years to go over.
Exactly.
Um,
Well, yeah, but that's a big multiplayer. Like that's the whole thing: multiplayer versus single player, right? This is why I was arguing. Like people
Single
say,
player
make the
shouldn't go.
yeah, single player versus multiplayer. I almost think like if you want the people, I don't think the single player games are gonna move people over to Xbox, right? Because they're not selling. The only one on here that sold substantially that was a single player game was Oblivion Remastered. The
Yeah.
rest of them that were single player games didn't hardly sell on PlayStation. The things that were selling really well on PlayStation was Forza Horizon 5 and Sea of Thieves, right?
Mhm.
And if you look at it like, okay, well, if you're actually trying to force them to want to buy an Xbox, you want to put the shit that they're buying on make that exclusive, not the stuff that they're not buying. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
even though these numbers are low for the other games, maybe those are games where every little bit fucking matters to support the developers, so that way we can get more of them. You know, I don't know, man, because Ninja fucking Gaiden came back. Everybody, Ninja Gaiden, one of the most beloved franchises from like Japanese developers on the original Xbox, going into early 360 generation, came back. Made by Platinum Games, super well received, got great
Mhm.
reviews. People that play love it. 262,000 copies on PlayStation.
It feels like it should have
262,000.
stayed where it was. Yeah.
How much did it sell on Xbox? I don't fucking know, man. But like that game, if I were to ask you a year ago, how many copies do you think Ninja Gaiden 4 would sell? I mean, probably we would have guessed in the 3 to 5 mil range. Maybe totally that's what it is, but I would have assumed a lot of PlayStation gamers would be buying it. It's 262,000, guys. Why are people not buying these kinds of games? Is this a marketing messaging problem from Xbox? Or is this like ga- gamer mentality has moved on to different kinds of games and franchises? But like this should have been a massive hit. Back in the day it would have been. Brett Bingham, with a $5 super chat, says, "You know what's sad? We live in a time where C Money thinks the Xbox brand hasn't been damaged, and Alex is starting to believe in the Xbox tax." Yeah, I don't know what C Money's thoughts on that. I will say definitely like the Xbox brand was damaged. I mean, like just, and I'll say, all right, it was damaged early in the Xbox One, at the end of the 360 going to the Xbox One generation. And they started to recover at the end of the Xbox One generation with the Xbox One X, leading into 2000 to the launch of Series S and Series X. And in 2022, they had a lot of positive momentum and things were starting to come back. 2022, the release slate then, mixed with other things going on and lack of games, and then Redfall coming out, knocked a lot of that positive sentiment and threw it out the window that they had garnered back over the last couple of years. And that started the brand damage. Then you had the ABK thing, which dominated conversation for like over a year and a half or so. Following that, you had, you know, the no exclusives thing. Then you had all this other kind of stuff.
Just four
And
games.
yeah, it's just been the conversations haven't been about what matters, and it's the games, right? The conversation's been about the brand. It's been about the ecosystem. It's been about the services. It's been about, but it hasn't been about, hey, this fucking game is awesome. You need to play this game, you know. And that, I think, the conflict and controversy that you can say over Xbox and its ecosystem, the validity of Game Pass, the all these other different kinds of things have led to this thing where it's like that's what Xbox is, instead of being an actual gaming ecosystem platform that we all love and enjoy, which I know all of us do. But I'm talking about from the outside looking in, and all you have to do to see that is if you just see random sentiment, not Xbox, not the core. You know, like you can say it didn't damage your view as a core user, right? But that's not the brand image. The brand image is how the masses perceive Xbox, and if the masses don't perceive Xbox as something they're interested in, that's brand damage in and of itself. And if you watch the million plus, content creators on YouTube, many of them just dismiss Xbox as irrelevant and old news, right? It was like, just like you'd say you play on Xbox. Oh, you play on Xbox? Like you talk to a stranger that play, hey, you play games. Talk to them at like some random thing. Oh, what do you play? Like you're like you play. Like I play Halo on Xbox. Like what? Who are you? Like where'd you come from? Are you from planet Earth? That's how they act, you know. And it's like we're this awesome community of gamers that love this brand and this ecosystem and everything that it has. But the outside looking in is just like they think we're fucking weird. I'm just being it's just being real. I mean, they think we're fucking weird for liking this ecosystem and shit because they don't understand it. They don't understand what it's about. They don't understand everything that's in it because of all the conversation hasn't been about what matters. Messaging, man. And thanks for that $5 super chat, Brett Bingham. Razor Ultron with the $2 says PS players had years to buy an Xbox to play Forza Horizon 5 and Sea of Thieves. Yeah, that's true. Those 5.8 million people that bought Forza Horizon 5 were definitely people that were not interested in the Xbox because they had plenty of time to get one. You could also have some double dippers in there. I don't know how many, right? But yeah, thanks for that super chat, Razor Ultron. Were you surprised about Ninja Gaiden's lack of sales?
Kind of like I would have expected that one to do a 500,000 as well, at least kind of thing. To only be in the 200,000 range is like, and the part that kind of burns me up on that is that as much trouble as Phil and Sarah went through to get that done, multiple trips to Japan, agreeing to work with Platinum again, kind of thing. Like there was a lot of pride, uh, swallowed on that deal. Um, and it felt like just from the outside looking in, it felt like it was, that awesome step where Xbox is embracing the East. They're getting a game on their platform. I don't know. Maybe that goodwill that they went through fell down with putting it on. other platforms. I That one I don't honestly know. Like, had it been an exclusive at a time when what was the other one that PlayStation had? Something about the Ronin, Rise of the Ronin or something.
Yeah.
In the day and age when they have Rise of the Ronin as a console exclusive, and it's yet to come over to Xbox. It's been, I think, a year and a half, almost 2 years now. I think they would have been better off making that an exclusive. That may have pushed even some more excitement behind it, but it just felt like there wasn't the level of excitement that there probably should have been.
What Rise of the
I
Ronin
don't know.
sold over 1.5 million copies.
Now, how many of those on PS5 versus PC? We'll
Um,
see.
yeah, I don't know, but
But
it had a
that's
high $5 million 5 million target.
yeah, and it didn't meet it because it was an exclusive. So that's that's one of the cases where making something exclusive was probably a shot in the foot. But then again, Sony's had a couple of those. On the flip side, hopefully Xbox won't have a couple of those, but it's trying to predict that is like I don't even know. I don't even know
Yeah.
where to begin on that one.
I'm curious, like, what did Rise of the Ronin get on Metacritic versus Ninja Gaiden 4? Now I understand one's more of like an open world game and one's not, so they're not like apples to apples, but
Yeah.
they're still both like very thematically like it's like uh Japanese action games. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
Rise of Ronin had a 76 on Meta, and Ninja Gaiden 4 had a 82. Ninja Gaiden is by far a more popular brand as it's been around for ever.
Mhm.
Um, and again, 262,000 copies. Now, compared to 1.5 mil. Now, this is only on PlayStation though, so I don't know how much of the PlayStation versus PC for Rise of the Ronin.
Yeah.
Um, but I would argue that's definitely more than 262,000. And it's also maybe above 1.5 now because this is like the last reports that had come out. But it's just weird to see still. Yeah, I mean, you would think that he was a huge announcement when Ninja Gaiden was like, "Hey, like this is Ninja Gaiden fucking coming back," you know. And it's like, is it the association with the Xbox, just being associated with it, that's hurting these sales? I hate to say it. I'm just curious. Like, is it the mentality of the PlayStation or the games media or whatever? Is it because these are brands that are now either published or owned by Xbox that all of a sudden people are dismissing these games because these are good fucking games, man?
Yeah. I There's definitely something to it. I mean, Xbox tax was talked about for years and still kind of talked about even today for a reason. It's not like it was just something that Xbox fans made up out of the blue. You can kind of see where certain games are scored a certain way on Xbox, and then it magically came to PlayStation, and the Dual Sense is what makes the big difference in this game. It's like if you play with an Elite controller, you have haptic triggers. So how much of a difference did the haptic feedback make on Hi-Fi Rush, the rhythm game? I'm pretty sure under the impression a lot of people probably had to turn the haptics off for playing that game on the Dual Sense, but that was a clear case of, it's only a low 80 on an Xbox, but hey, that DualSense makes it a high 80 now. It's like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Um, we're seeing that, despite all of the, this is not a game of the generation talk, that actually Starfield did sell somewhat well, although I don't know if they have the most recent number, but it's selling better than people were probably giving it credit. But then again, there was a lot of hate because it wasn't a Bethesda version of No Man's Sky. Whatever reason, I guess I don't know. I've come to the conclusion that the gaming media, not as a whole, not everyone in it, but a nice chunk of the gaming media has made gaming unfun for those that used to look star-eyed at box art and stuff like that when we were younger. And it's like, oh, what does the gaming media say? Oh, they say it's a 70. Oh, that's junk. I'm not going to bother with that. And it's like a 70 used to be, or a 70, let's say a 78 used to be a good game, fun. Maybe it has a couple of quirks, but it would be a fun game that you would probably try and either finish or sit there and play all the way through until the next good game came out. Now a 78 is like, oh, that why would I even bother touching that? I won't even get that when it's in the $5 bin over at GameStop. It's just weird times.
Yeah. I mean, the next one on this list is Starfield, which I mean, that's just happened very recently.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to make a case for or against it yet, although I would say that the initial sales that they probably expected to get from PlayStation did not. I would say they probably didn't meet their expectations because as of now they're still only at like 200 and according to when this came out 207K on
Mhm.
PlayStation for Starfield.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I think the
like,
gaming media boat anchored that title ever
yeah.
doing well over there.
Do you think
It
like
it's
it's just been such a like, like almost like an attempt to sabotage Starfield over the last couple of years based on like games media and some people's sentiment. It's like it coincided with the Xbox the way they try and attack it, you know, um, to the point to where it's like damage the image of the game despite how good it actually is, you know.
I definitely feel, and people are gonna disagree with me on this. I definitely feel IGN had its own agenda to, you know, score that game the way it did. Did the guy that scored it like it? Who knows? But I do know it's awfully odd for something that's only a 7 out of 10 that you make so much effort for playthrough guides, cheat code things, secret location stuff. Like, if it's really a 7 out of 10 game, do you put all of your resources in every aspect of gear, weaponry, tricks, secrets, option choices, things like that? Like, do you really do that level of a guide on a 7 out of 10? Like, the funny thing is, they don't have that on something like The Last of Us 2. And that's something they gave at what, a 9 out of 10? Like,
Yeah.
and it's once again a single player game, has a lot of secrets, has a lot of different choices you can make, a lot of different areas you can explore. Did they have that level of guide? No. I find it odd, but hey, they knew that there was going to be a lot of people searching for stuff around Starfield. And if they have a controversial or seen as controversial score, that will bring even more people to their attention because people are going to want to argue in the comments, oh, it's better than a 7 out of 10. And then the people that haven't played it, oh, it's a 2 out of 10 because it's made by Xbox. So it just felt like IGN purposely made that a not a clickbait target, but like a conversation target that they knew that they could reap the benefits with their guides if they have something different than everybody else on their scoring or rating.
Yeah.
Like we look at it now, they gave what Marathon I think a 9 and Crimson Desert a 6. And people that have been playing Crimson Desert for a while are like, that's a crackhead score. Like
Yeah.
it should be completely the opposite. And by the player numbers, it's clear it should be the opposite. But hey, nobody wants to have that conversation.
Yeah, they're out of touch like completely. Um and this one was like this next game I'm going to mention was like one of the big releases for Xbox last holiday. Day and date across the board everywhere. Um, Outer Worlds 2. Um, Fantastic game from what I played of it so
Mhm.
far. You know, haven't played a whole lot of it, but it it's better than the first one from what I've played.
Yeah.
You know, 163,000 sold.
I, I think I have, well, I have a theory on this one. And
This game didn't sell well anywhere though.
yeah. Well,
Also,
here's my theory on why. And it comes from somebody trying to do one of those gotcha moments about how Xbox doesn't have games for sale anymore, like physical games. They just have the game cards or something. They originally were trying to say that there's no physical games or no games for Xbox to sell. It's just gift cards or whatever. And I think it was Target, if I'm not mistaken. Target had the price for Outer Worlds for the regular
yeah,
version at $79.99. That thing was reversed on pricing. Now, I don't know if they were in Canada or for US. I'm under the impression they were US. Could be wrong because every other price matched what you would normally see in the US for things like Madden or NCAA or any other game was like $69.99. Outer Worlds in that picture was for $79.99 at Target. Did Target not get the memo? Did a lot of other stores not get the memo? And they're out there on those digital cards for the regular version for $79.99 because that was the initial price and they never updated. I haven't bothered going to stores after seeing that picture to see in my area because I don't really care that much to research it. But it just knowing that a place like Target that's going to sell every other game that's normally for 70 and then have that for 79.99. I even put a thing, I think I even put a message to Asha and Matt Booty would see that. Like something's off here. Like did Target purposely not updated or this
yeah, I
the
don't know.
store is incompetent as far as their inventory or their information in their computers outdated? I don't know. It felt like the thing that killed that game is the minute they mentioned that it was going to be for 79.99, all interest died on that game. People were like $80 for that.
Yeah,
And I don't care that they reversed the price, what, like 2 days later. I think a lot of people outside of those on, let's say, Xbox or Game Pass or whatever, or maybe a few people on Steam that, buy games at a discount anyway and get usually 10% or better off. I think a lot of people just moved on because they saw that 79.99 and it's not a Call of Duty. Excuse me, it's not a NBA 2K, it's not a Madden, and they were like, "Screw that, and I'm not paying $80 for a game unless it's on Nintendo and I'm a Nintendo fan, or it's something like Call of Duty or Madden or one of those other titles." Like, I think the fact that they tried to get 79.99 for that game is what killed that game.
yeah. It's crazy, man. What's happening to gaming? It's very interesting. Alvin with the $2 super chat says, as we look at these sales numbers, 90 plus million PS5s. Yeah, man. I mean,
Yeah,
why aren't they buying these fucking good games? I mean, they bought a few of them. They bought the Forza, Sea of Thieves, Oblivion. You could say Grounded, even, or I think somewhat you could say Gears and Doom, but like it's just interesting. Like the original Outer Worlds sold over 2 million in the same time span that this one sold less than Outer Worlds 2 sold less than one across all platforms.
yeah,
And you're talking about a new back when Outer Worlds 1 came out, it was a new IP by um published by Private Division, as a new Obsidian game, but Obsidian had kind of been like doing different stuff at the time, as like they didn't have, Xbox behind them. They were trying to get funding for wherever they could to get a fucking game. Um but we look at these we look at these games, and I mean, what a fucking hell of a year for releases. I mean, you have Ninja Gaiden 4, Outer Worlds 2. It, now you can say Indiana Jones releasing on that platform is still substantial, right? Doom, the Dark Ages, fucking, you have the Oblivion remaster, like, just if you were to just say those games alone, that would be a fucking monster year for any platform holder, any publisher, right? But Outer Worlds 2 only sold 163K on PlayStation. Ninja Gaiden 4 only sold 262K on PlayStation. Indiana Jones fit 537K. Gears of War Reloaded 684K. Like, especially the two standouts are Outer Worlds 2 and Ninja Gaiden 4. Like, it is, and Doom. And Doom,
Yeah.
like, that's a massive surprise too. That is just like shocking, and it leads me to think there's like some kind of bigger thing at hand. It's because it's like, you can say, where are the games? Xbox had the fucking games last year. Like, Xbox had the games. They had a lot of great games. For some reason, people just aren't buying them.
I'm wondering if some of those multiplayer games that chart so well from Xbox on that platform, if that might be the reason. Because if you just, because I think the big thing we all forget, us as enthusiasts, we're buying more than 4 games a year, despite whatever subscription we have. We're buying at least 4 games a year. Some of us 14 plus games a
Yeah.
year. The average person that bought one of those 90 million PS5s, they buy 2 games a year, maybe 3 if we're lucky. So if they already bought COD and whatever other sports game they like, Forza Horizon 5 was their go-to. Or maybe Sea of Thieves was their go-to. Now their budget's blown. They still got to get flowers for the misses, and
Yeah.
they got to pay for their buddy's bachelor party or whatever. Like the average person getting 3 games a year, if they already bought Forza Horizon 5 and they bought COD, yeah, good luck getting them to buy another game from Xbox, let alone them even buying a PlayStation game. Because as much as people want to say, oh, the PlayStation bangers, they're selling 2 million of, yeah, it's a niche title when it comes to a platformer. But with what was that, Astrobot? The way that was advertised to nauseum on the PlayStation console, like even if you turned off social media completely, it was pushed down your throat on your console. Or if you watch YouTube, it was pushed down your throat because of the ads. And it only sold 2 million out of almost 100
Yeah.
million consoles. Like we'll see what Soros does. I'm hoping it does well. I'm hoping it does better than Returnal did. That means it needs to do, I think, what, 2 mil? I think Returnal only did like 1.5 million, and that's mainly because of the PC kind of dragged it over the 1.5 million line. um, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if you want to have a game do well on PlayStation, unless you're an established shooter like Call of Duty or Battlefield, you need to be a movie game that's a single player, or you need to be a multiplayer that's fun but looks cool. Forza Horizon does that. I guess you could say if you're into the art style or the aesthetic, Sea of Thieves does that because it has like that Disney-fied kind of look to it, and it's something that until Skull and Crossbones came out, you didn't have anything remotely close to it as a standalone game. So that's something that makes sense doing well over there, and
Yeah.
Grounded doing well over there because hey, you get to relive your childhood as far as watching the movie Honey I Shrunk the Kids in a video game. Like that makes sense that it does well because it's another multiplayer game or co-op game. They look at Helldivers being a co-op game; it does well over there. But you know, hack and slash that doesn't look like Neo or um, Ghost of Yotai or Ghost of Tsushima kind of stuff. They don't seem interested because it doesn't have that movie. Like there are good cutscenes in Ninja Gaiden 4, but it's not the same level of cutscene as what you see in Ghost of Yotai or Ghost of Tsushima. So maybe that's why it didn't land as well.
It's like just trying to be only looking for certain kinds of games at this point, right? I don't know, man. It's crazy. I'm kind of with Survey in the chat. It says like it's cost of living. Like now, so you can say like there's certain games that are just gonna sell like bonkers regardless because they kind of catch fire. They become kind of like what everybody talks about, all that stuff, right? And then like I think you have this like level of games underneath that were always like this was our like yearly slate of like games we would use to get through month to month and a month, right? And it was like some of them are really good to great, but they aren't necessarily like everybody saying you have to fucking play this game. You know what I mean? Like last year, I would say like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was like that game. Like Clear Obscure Expedition 33, people were all like, you have to play this game. You have to play this game. And but like Xbox had a lot of great games, but people weren't screaming out there like you have to play this game. So like even if you have all these like really good to great games, unless they're becoming almost like these like games media slash content creator phenomenons, like they get stuck in this kind of like limbo area of like people don't have the extra income anymore to support buying things that they kind of want. You know what I mean? Or they just want. It's like food every fucking day, gas, like he was saying in the chat, like you know, insurance, mortgage rates are fucking for the cost of a mortgage because of property taxes and because of fucking homeowners insurance has gone up. You know what I mean? You got
Yeah.
uh fucking I know car insurance, homeowners insurance, uh property taxes, uh, food, gas, um, even all your just little subscription services or internet, cell phone bills, every fucking thing has gone up way too much in a short time span. And I think I think our cost of living for the average consumer is eroded too much of our expendable income to be able to just say, "Hey, I'm willing to buy these $70 games left and right." You know, like maybe even earlier this generation during COVID when we're getting free checks. You know, and or like even last generation when the economy had been like booming after the whole 2008 thing. We went through this like downtime, and then there was this big rebound that had happened for like almost like it seemed like 8, 9, 10 years, and then you had COVID happen. It was like weird situation. Then you had the massive inflation take place everywhere. Going, people's incomes aren't matching the amount of cost. Eggs were fucking $7, $8, like just crazy shit like that. You have um just astronomical uh hardware goes up mid generation for the first time ever in gaming history. More than once. It's just crazy across the board, man. Like I know for a fact, 100%, that alone has affected how many games I buy.
Same.
So if I take myself into account, like I know that's one person that probably would have bought numerous games that I didn't buy, right? Now, how much does that transcend across the spectrum of all gamers? I don't know. You know what I mean? But it's crazy, man. how much of a factor does that have? I don't know, but I feel like people are starting to buy less games at in general that they're kind of interested in or kind of feel the want, and are buying more of just the games that they feel they need. Like because like okay, I gotta have this one. I have to have this one. Like GTA 6 is gonna sell like crazy. You know.
Yeah.
Um. But yeah, that other tier, of popularity, I think is interesting, and I think it's reflective. I think it's a reflection on those numbers that I was reading to you, Fuzzy. I think it's Xbox has something to do with it, like just being associated with Xbox. I think some of them being timed exclusives, obviously, has something to do with that. I think um, people are tighter with their money in general, right? And that's a good argument for Game Pass. You're right. Like
Mhm.
that's a good argument for Game Pass, man. Like fuck. And I don't know. But Game Pass is not an excuse for PlayStation gamers not buying that fucking game, those games. And here's another thing too we got to look at: how many of the PlayStation gamers also actually do own an Xbox or a PC? Like I think there's a
I was to
substantial
go out,
amount.
yeah, if I was to go out on a limb, I would say more than a third own an Xbox.
Like just because there's an Xbox owner doesn't, I mean, a PlayStation owner doesn't mean they don't have an Xbox or PC, which those games are also released on, which does have access to Game Pass, right? So, how many PlayStation users are subscribed to Game Pass for the PC, or for their Xbox whenever a game comes out, you know, that they're interested in playing? So, I don't know. I know there's a lot that say that they have them and they collect dust on social media, just like PlayStation for me, you know. But that I would think that does have an effect on sales somewhat on PlayStation also, right? So it's interesting, man. Well, any final thoughts on that before we do? Oh shit! Before we do tidbits, Fuzzy.
No, I think as it stands right now, I don't envy Asha,
Yeah,
other than maybe the pay scale. Maybe
yeah,
that, but no.
yeah,
In all seriousness, the decisions she's going to have to make over these next couple of years, I don't envy. She's got to go through all of the data that the previous leadership had, as well as new stuff as she's making changes on the fly now. So we'll see what the result is. I'm liking the momentum that we've seen. Like, and I know some of y'all don't like when people say rake steps and stuff like that, but it's like the fact that there isn't a bad news cycle for Xbox this entire time, like since she's kind of pretty much taken the keys to the building kind of thing, it is I guess not breathtaking, but it's like relaxing, or no, it's refreshing is the right word. Like the fact that the bad news cycle has constantly been PlayStation lately, whether it's the DRM stuff, people denying the DRM stuff, and then supposedly GameSpot getting a story that it's only the 30-day thing or it's a temporary. No real answer, just they did an update and people called them out on it, and now we'll see 30 days later if it's still a similar problem. The fact that they're, uh, you know, letting, I guess, Marathon kind of die on the vine kind of thing. The fact that, supposedly, was it Fair Game is changing? And just a whole bunch of other bad rumors other than, oh, well, they're pulling back from PC, but no official statement. Well, when do you see, or we'll see when Yotai comes to PC, or we'll see. But yeah, I just like the fact that Xbox has been in the good news cycle for weeks on weeks, and the PlayStation stuff is kind of like crickets. It's like none of the news places really wanted to touch the whole DRM thing. It took, what was it, Mystic and I forget the other guy's name, that they were like the only two real PlayStation guys I subscribe to that at least see if there's been an update to my console or something that might be worth turning it on. They were the only ones that like pulled the CMOS battery out, and it's like, yeah, it just bought this game. It doesn't work now. Oh, that's because you haven't gotten the permanent, license. Whatever. No, let's get that PlayStation tax going.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I it's DRM thing with PlayStation. I think we're still gonna have to learn some things about what it is, but like it's ultimately like you never want to hear any kind of change in a negative light. People were running away like saying like you're gonna permanently lose your licenses at first. I just thought that was fucking absurd and like stupid. Um, the reports that have been coming out, I think, have been like mixed because like nobody actually knows, and then like PlayStation's response is um very vague in one sense. Like a one line online check isn't that big of a deal, but like when is it? Like how is it? So, like because like for me, it's like you have to be online to download a game,
Mhm.
right? So like if we're talking about digital libraries, your library is going to be more than you can usually fit on a console to begin with. So like you have to look at the overall implications of the entire thing. Now, if you just say you want to have 4 or 5 games installed on your system or however many you can fit, and then take it offline for 60 days, then it stops working for 30 of it, that would suck. But apparently, still, they're saying that's not the case. Like, they're saying that, like, you can, after you download it within the first certain period of time, it does like an online check and then it's like a permanent license. So I don't fucking know,
Mhm.
man. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it, but I think that it's interesting, but we don't know all the answers yet to make a huge hullabaloo over it yet. Like some are. That being said, don't ever want to advocate for more DRM. I don't
Mhm.
know. I don't know how to feel about it. It is what it is. All right, Fuzzy Belvedere, what do we got in store for tidbits, sir?
Let me get everything set up. Sorry.
No, you're good, man. Let me do the. I'm gonna hit the button for the intro to.
Let me also pause. Will it pause? No, why won't it pause?
Oh, you're
There
good. I'm just gonna hit it.
we go.
I'm looking at a black screen for some reason. It's weird. Let me try again. Um, it's not
Yeah,
working.
there's like 18 games. Let's
Yeah.
see.
Let's see here.
Great. Let me see if I can play
Kugase.
it.
Okay, you're good. Kugase Cygnus says that's because some would refund the game and keep the license for jailbroken PS4 5s. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen so many different scenarios here. Like, I think if they're trying to get around an exploit that people are taking advantage of, and if it's like a one time online check, like I honestly, like I don't think it's gonna affect that many people, but it still is a thing. So
Yeah. Wait, do you see the this
I got it
first game
now.
playing or no?
Yes, yeah, I got it now. Amnesia
Right.
Rebirth.
Yeah. Amnesia Rebirth coming to Switch 2 this Thursday for 25.49. I guess they already have a sale on the eShop.
I think this was on sale on Xbox too.
Yeah.
The excuse seems sus. It's not necessarily because they don't give refunds anyway. Yeah.
All right, this next one is Bandit Trap. I'm in the PS5, Series X and S, Switch 2, and PC this Thursday for $13.49.
And I'd also be super hypocritical if I went after PlayStation super hard for this thing, because I was advocating back in the day for Xbox to do the whole thing they're trying to do with the physical disc. Like requiring the 30-day check, because like I wanted to be able to install my disc and take them out of the machine and have the licenses transfer if I traded them in, like all that kind of, like I was for that future, man.
Yeah.
But I understand if you don't have internet, it would suck, you know.
Hopefully one of these days we'll be able to sell or trade in our digital games, but till then.
Yes. That's the kind of shit we need to be advocating for.
All right, this next one is Heroes of Night and Magic, Golden Era. I'm in the early access on PC this Thursday for $29.99. Like a 25% off sale on Steam. I believe it's also on Xbox PC, although I don't think it's PC Game Pass yet.
Is it like a strategy game?
Mm-hmm.
Turn-based strategy.
Yeah.
You've been on a kick trying to 100% your games survey. That's something I've never really strived for, but I always find it like interesting. Would I enjoy that? I don't know. Maybe give me some kind of like extra motivation to get through the games.
Games I try to do the 100%. Like Power Washer, or the dig in the hole thing, or
Yeah.
the place I think is going to be one I also try 100% as well.
I think if I end up just naturally playing a game a shit ton and I end up realizing I'm close, I may like go the extra mile to try and finish it off, you know?
Like this is Inconveni, one store, many stories. I'm in the PS5, Series X and S, Switch, PC, and Mac this Thursday for $22.49.
I'll tell you this: if Xbox ever revamps the achievement system to a point where it gives you a percentage of the amount of games that you've played, that you've 100%ed, mine will be extremely low and embarrassing.
Same. All right, this is Invincible Versus, coming to PS5, Series X and S, and PC this Thursday for $49.99.
Oh, did y'all
Also
hear
in Game Pass.
Injustice 3 is in the works?
Yeah. I still hold out hope for NetherRealm working with whomever is going to be doing Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
Do like a crossover.
Right now that'd be Iron Galaxy, I guess.
Yeah.
This is not what I needed today. My time is valuable. Lights.
Diet time. You need to get a hobby, dude. I'm gonna kill you so many times.
Hey, is Token out yet, or is that coming out soon as well? You know?
Oh, dude, I was looking forward to it, but I haven't been paying attention. I don't know.
Too bad there's only one of you.
I know they had some sort of like alpha or beta test not too long ago.
Yeah, I don't think it's out yet. Yeah, so it's coming out in August 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here I am. This is gonna hurt.
Although this looks like a ton of fun, but I don't think I've ever watched Invincible.
Yeah.
Now we're getting somewhere. Having fun.
Get off my planet or I'm going to fuck you up.
One year character pass.
Yeah, I never even look at the achievements either, Duck.
Alright, this one is Monster Crown Sin Eater, coming out on PS5, Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC this Thursday for $24.99.
I do like hearing achievements pop though. I like when they pop, I'm like, oh cool, I got an achievement. And then I look down at what it was, but like I never like look too much into it.
I wish there was a rule that they must be in increments of 5 or 10.
Yeah.
I need like a 3-point achievement to even out my numbers. I know that sounds very OCD of me, but it bothers me that I got like it either ends in 2 or 7 right now.
Web Dave, shout out for the $2. Appreciate you, Dave. Says if you look at PS games, sales are low too. Astro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's just gamers are buying less games in general, I think.
Greetings from Peace Corps.
Right, this is Mullet Mad Jack finally coming to Nintendo Switch this Thursday for $15.99.
Sounds like you're in trouble.
Which also, if you look at the cost of development, the fact that people are buying less games is not good for the industry.
Okay, boss. Roger.
I think if they put the price of games and just straight out say this is the forever sale price, like in other words, for those that usually wait for a sale, instead of releasing the game at $70 or $69.99, we're releasing it at $39.99. That is the permanent price. So if you want to wait 2 years from now, it's still $39.99. I think they would sell a lot more games, although with the increased sales make up for lower revenue or the lower per sale revenue.
I do wonder if the longevity of game sales has gone up though, like for titles. You know, like in the digital age now, we're more used to buying older games than we used to be buying physical. Because like physical, you didn't buy older physical games that much because they would just keep rotating at the stores. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like you would still find older games there sometimes, and you would buy them back in the day, but like you were always there to usually buy the new games. But now we're looking at these digital storefronts and bombarded by sales all the time. Like I think just sales have a longer life, like track record now, as opposed to the way they used to be. I do want to play Soros. I don't like. I like Fraternal a little bit, so I might be giving this a go at some point.
Yeah. It's $69.99 out now for PS5. Wish it was coming to PC right away. I don't know if they have co-op like they did in Returnal.
This is one of those ones that's like, are people going to be like that excited for it to spend $70, or is it going to be in that middle area that I was talking about, Fuzzy, like a step below? You know,
You can race, you can do cool tricks and stuff. There's also
I know I waited until Returnal was on, but I don't think it was 70 when it came out. I think it was
Or how-
60.
is it 70 bucks? Saros is 70. Yeah, I think Returnal was like
you can also just kind of
less than that. Returnal was like 50 at
Yeah,
times, something
but
like
I
that.
still waited until it was like 40 or something.
So yeah, that's the
And then shortly after they had co-op.
Really excited to share that sledding game is coming.
Yo, Brett Bingham with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Brett. Says, I wonder how many copies a Law and Order game would sell. Okay, Boomer, try to win this argument.
If you've been waiting for something new to play, look no further. We just dropped our game on 2
They already have a lot, like,
just a rundown. People
no,
come
they
in
have like
looking for a
CSI
specific
games,
item, some
shit like
benevolent,
that.
some less so. You have
Yeah.
this huge shelf full of different occult items.
Right, that
you
previous
just rifle
game
through
was
your
the
countless
sledding
books of
game coming
artifacts and
to
properties, identify the
Xbox
right
and
one, and
PC
then give
early
it to
access
someone
for
who
$7.99,
probably
and then
should.
this one is
So if you own a
Strange
PlayStation 4,
Antiques
PlayStation 5,
or
Xbox Series
Antiquities
S, or Xbox Series
for
X,
PS4
you
and
think you
5
have what
and
it takes
Series
to be a
X and S
thaumaturge,
this
you should check
Thursday
out
for
Strange Antiquities.
$15.29. It's
Remind me
been
where
on
we left
PC for a
off?
bit.
I am cut
This is a VR game of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Empire City,
Worth hearing around.
coming to Quest 3 and PC this Thursday for $24.99.
This is gonna get weird.
Karai's intel points to a series of foot operations within the quarantine zone. There's pizza on the table. Do what you gotta do and head out.
Pretty cool.
You could probably get the drop on him from up top. Where's the fun in that? Fine, going hot.
Like,
You got
this would be a
any
VR
idea
game I would
how
play.
hard it is to be intimidating when it's just me?
I'll probably pick this up on Quest.
Focus up.
Oh, your weapons are weaker than my face.
It is settled. We shall work together then.
The Foot Clan are all over town setting up some kind of outpost.
The voice acting's horrible so far, though.
afraid of us coming for him. You're ready to die? No. Your decisions will have rippling effects, especially in the minds of others.
I do like the art style for the turtles and the enemies, though.
the Foot Clan weak.
Turtles.
It's got that old school.
ahead into the dark.
For once in your life, be useful to your clan.
No! Defend yourselves!
Once this is over, I'm going on vacation.
I don't like their shredder, though.
Probably sad. Probably sad that I wound up picking up more games on my Quest than my PS5. Alright, this next one is The Coma 3 Bloodlines, coming to PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC this Thursday for $14.99.
You heard the story was trash in Saros? Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know it was that big of a story game, to be honest with you. Like, Returnal was more about just the fast-paced action, you know? So I would have expected the same thing for Saros.
Right. This is Winx Club. The Magic is Back, coming to PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC this Thursday for $23.99.
I'm probably gonna get copyright on this one, so I'm gonna close it because it's probably some kind of stupid Winx exclusive copyright bullshit. Winx the movie, the song. This is like a popular toy brand. Yeah, and they have like little animated like things and stuff. They're like these like fairy things that like you can activate. And they like jump up and swirl or whatever. Is that the Winx, babe?
So almost like
Winx.
amiibos, kind of.
Fairy things that like spin up in the air. Yeah. If you know the things that like when they're like the fairies that like are on the stand thing and you like zip them up and they spin.
They're called sky dancers.
No, the ones from
Right,
like when
this
Kaylee was
one-
a kid. Like little...
Right, this next one is Constance, coming to PS5, Series X and S, and Switch this Friday for $19.99.
My wife's looking at me like I'm an idiot, so apparently I'm wrong. I remember my daughter had those toys that looked just like those, but they had this little stand on them, and they had like fairy wings, and like they could like fly in the air and spin. You guys got any girl dads out there? I thought those were wings. Huh? Yeah. She had some back in the day. Yeah, see? Winks. Yeah, like they fly. They spin, transform. Oh, I'm on this little fucking tiny screen down here. They can't see shit. Yeah, they spin, transform, and fly.
Right, this next one is Die in the Dungeon. In the PC this Friday for $14.99.
Did I tell you the name of all of the My Little Ponies?
What?
Survey wants to know the names. All right, so we got a serve. Sorry, yeah, I'm not. Well, there's cheese sandwich, Applejack. I'm looking for you to help me. Huh? Pinkie Pie, Twilight Sparkle. Yeah. Fluttershy. Rainbow Dash. Isn't there like a Celeste, like a Diamond Celeste?
Alright, this is Soul Quest coming to PC this Friday for $19.99.
Oh, really, Sealer? That's fun.
Oh, you must be kidding me!
What was it? Was there one called cheese sandwich, right? Or was it cheese sandwich, or it was something like that? I always thought it was hilarious. It's cheese sandwich, right?
Alright, might have to mute this one as well. Right, so this one is called Dead as Disco. Early access on PC this Tuesday for $49.99. So it's like a rhythm-based fighter.
Cool. Defeat the idols. Rainbow Dash. Yeah, I think we said Rainbow Dash. We said, or like Rarity is one. Rarity. I mean, yes, yeah. Spike's a dragon. Like when I was little, if My Little Pony was on, I wouldn't turn it off. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. Yeah, my real shit was Care Bears when I was like a little kid.
Repeat the record new
Does this one have
each
music?
day starts with getting the shop ready and
This is Wax Heads coming to PS5, Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch and PC this Tuesday for $14.99.
They will keep you on your toes with their charming but often
Yeah, I watched Gummy Bears and Smurfs when I was younger.
Yeah, I watched those too.
By looking through all possible clues. The store's records, social media,
The original
local
Care Bears
music
show
scenes,
and
hidden within the
movies,
environment
like,
and on the
were,
customers
like,
themselves.
the
Once you
shit
think
back
you
when
have
I
the
was
use the
really
right
little.
album, you will bring it up on the till and get a rating from the customer based on how well you have matched the request. Sad,
Every time I
meh,
hear Care
okay,
Bears, I
or
think
rap.
of like the
Thanks for listening and make sure to check out
what was that
Wax
thing
Heads on
called?
Netflix.
Robot Chicken versions of them,
Oh yeah.
where they would curse or decapitate each other or get trapped in bear traps. All right, that's it for this week.
That's it. Awesome. Well, hey, pretty decent week. Hey, you learning some new things about me? It's all right. I don't shy away from my like childhood love of Care Bears. My feminine side, my wife's. No, like, uh, let's see. There was also, I mean, there was so many. I'm talking about the like shows meant for like kind of like that toddler to like 5-year old range. You know what I mean? There was like Muppet Babies. I was super into that. Oh, see, my wife's got some Care Bears. Oh, these are mine. What is this one? Do you know the name? No. We know who this is. Can anybody in the chat name this? Y'all know who this is? Say it. Fuzzy, do you know who this is? This is a test.
It's on the tip of my tongue. What is it? Not Raggedy Ann. What the hell?
No. Who is this?
Molly something or something? Molly Pocket or whatever?
No. Hit. Come on, chat.
Rainbow Bright?
Yes. There you go, Fuzzy Belvedere. Ding, 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 ding. We got Serve in the chat. Also knew what this was. These Care Bears are different. Like these aren't the traditionals. So, all right. So this is another.
Yeah, those look custom.
This one. Now 5 points if you can name me this Care Bear. Somebody. He's an OG. It's an OG.
This is like True Heart or something?
No. You're close. You're close, Fuzzy. You're close. Come on. Chat.
I used to know the names of some of them.
He was like the main guy, the main character of the original Care Bears shows and movie. Kind of the hero, main leader of the Care Bears. Come on. Somebody in the chat. Anybody.
That'd be something hard. Something it's like
you're
not
right.
True Heart.
It's something heart. And I'll say the first letter of the first part is correct.
Trust Heart or something? Trust? No.
Nobody. I'm shocked, chat.
Heart Bear.
Tenderheart.
What is it? Tenderheart. Okay.
You're like, oh yeah, Tenderheart. I don't know.
I have another one down there.
Yeah.
Vanity Smurf.
Vanity. Vanity Smurf. What is the girl Smurf name?
Well, there's Smurfette, and then there was Sarsaparilla or something.
Smurfette. Yes. There you go. Fraggle Rock did rock. I loved Fraggle Rock. It's not Heart Fart Poison Maniac.
Oh, and then the
yeah. Remember the koalas one? The one with the 2 fucking koalas outside on the fucking tree, and they would go into this like little girl's bedroom at night. Do you remember?
No.
The 2 fucking koalas lived outside this girl's tree, and like at night they would like come into her bedroom or whatever. I don't remember the fucking name of the show.
Do you remember the knockoff Smurfs that lived underwater?
Oh, jeez. Were they like purple?
They had like a tube on their head.
Like pink or purple or something?
They had, I think, a whole bunch of colors. I think one of the main characters was All-Star or something.
Was it called the Snorkels or something like that?
Snorks, yeah.
The Snorks. Oh, yes. Okay. The Snorks. I remember that.
I remember Alf the sitcom, but not the cartoon.
Rugrats was awesome, but I was like, Rugrats was like kind of after my time a little bit.
Yeah, I want to say I was close to 20 when Rugrats came out.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny when they compared one of them to, what's her name? Azalea or whatever, the female rapper.
Iggy Azalea?
They're like, oh yeah, she sounds just like so and so of the Rugrats.
Braveheart was the lion stage one. He was the lion. He was a Care Bear cousin.
Mm. Why not dorks?
Yeah, there was so many like cartoons back then. We could reminisce about that shit forever. Anyway, all right. Well, Fuzzy Belvedere, this was awesome. Fun rambling and ranting with you. Where else do you do that shit?
As always, love doing this podcast with you. Love talking about the industry and gaming. And for my rambles and rants, you can always find me on, well, I haven't been as active on social media, but you can usually find me on social media. Just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere. You can also find me on Double Barrel Gaming on Fridays and Mondays. Friday at 10 a.m. for Breakfast with Boom. And then Friday evenings with my wife for Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. And this week's movie is Ghosts of Mars. Oh man, do I have a lot to say about that. But it's going to be a fun show tomorrow. So come hang out with us 6 p.m. Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. Should be a good one.
Awesome, man. Well, make sure you check out that show, guys. It's always fun. I lurk in their chat. And I remember when they were recommending Substance. It took me a while to eventually get to it, but yeah, I also recommend that movie as well. Well, Thundercats is like the next age group up, Dark. But I was like Thundercats. I was like super fucking into Thundercats, bro. Thundercats, fucking GI Joe, Transformers.
Oh, yeah.
Like those He-Man, those were like my 4 primary shows, as well as Garfield and Heathcliff. And then all the other shows that came on around the same time. There's like SWAT Cats or some shit like that. There was like Silver Hawk, I think. I mean, there was like, dude, there was so many fucking awesome shows. Voltron, I used to watch the shit out of Voltron, dude. There was so many fucking awesome shows back then. I was super into all that, like early '80s to late '80s cartoons. Was watched all the fucking time. I also watched the shit out of like Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Watched the shit out of like the is it Barbera? Is that how you say it? Barbera or whatever cartoons. And then like Ninja Turtles came out, and I was fucking obsessed with because Ninja Turtles came out, I think when I was like 6 or 7. It was like that perfect age, for Ninja Turtles. Like I was obsessed with Ninja Turtles, as much as I was like all the other shit, But my 2 favorite toy brands probably of all time are probably Transformers and Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
And mine was Transformers and GI Joe.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles. I think I was on the older side at that point, but that van was cool.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to get the van, but I was like, nah. I kind of stopped buying collectible toys and was more into like model cars and planes at that point. But that van was pretty cool, and the Ninja Turtles themselves are pretty cool. All the characters are pretty cool as far as like the action figure setups that they have and stuff. So
you remember Saturday morning, was it on USA? Saturday morning on USA? They had like the intro with the fucking like bullet train, or like the silver train going with all the like characters. And then they had the like couple hours of Saturday mornings. I remember always being so pissed off at myself if I slept past it. If I overslept past the cartoons on Saturday morning, because the rest of the fucking day, it was like news and regular shows. I was like, that was your chance to watch the fucking cartoons, man. You had Inspector Gadget and tons of other stuff on Saturdays, man.
Yeah, if you woke up late, you were watching the animal stuff where it was like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, we're at this
Yes.
zoo, and it's like, no, I want to see Bugs Bunny and stuff.
All right, like, or at the end of it, they had like Wild and Crazy Kids or something like that. I can't remember what that was on,
Yeah.
but they had like a competition show. Was that on USA? Was it Nickelodeon?
It was either that or Nick. It was either USA or Nickelodeon at that time.
There's one with I think was it LeVar Burton that was not reading Rainbow, but like I think
Oh,
he was also doing like a competition show, and like one team it was like outside, and one team had like red shirts, and the other team had like blue shirts. Was that Wild and Crazy Kids? Guts, maybe? No, no, not that show. It was always outside. There's tons of kids and stuff outside, and like they did competitions and stuff. And it was like I think it was at the end of the USA thing, but like they ended with
mm.
that, and then they like went into like regular stuff. Anyway, guys, you're all awesome. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you all have a good one. Peace out. Bye.